In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
What is up, gang? What's going on, gang? What's happening? I think people are drinking in that chat tonight. I kind of like it. People are all riled up in that chat tonight. I think it's going to be a good night. I think we're going to have some fun tonight. So I appreciate you for joining me. Shout out to the chat here at Blunt Politics. Shout out to the Sparklers as well coming on over. Please give my love right back to Hal. Thank you guys for coming over. Thank you to CSL. Thank you to Andrea. Thank you to Cosmic Rose. Thank you to DB Golden. Thank you to everybody. You guys are so wonderful, and I can't thank you guys enough for sharing the love. Like I said, share the love right back at Hal and all of the communities that we need to be sharing the love with. That's what we want to do here. So there's a lot to talk about, lots to discuss, as always. It's kind of crazy that, like, for such a big momentous moment in such like an easy deal, you'd think, like 14 points, one page, it wouldn't be that difficult to kind of, distinctly see what the hell the points are. But, we've kind of spent all day going through the experts and people just kind of speculating on what the points are. We'll be talking about, obviously, what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, what's going on between Iran, the United States. The Republicans, like I told you, were going to react to this ridiculously horrible deal that Donald Trump is, I don't know, ready or not ready to do. Who the hell knows at this point? But again, if the points are correct that are being reported on, the Republicans right now are already starting to call it out. I think I said in the earlier show that it might be Mark Levin and those people like Lindsey Graham, but I think it was somebody else first. So we got a couple videos as it pertains to that as well. Trump promoting the UFC fight at the White House. Again, talking about tone deaf, talking about really bad optics at a time where a lot of people in this world are struggling. He's again promoting not only the ballroom, but this huge, lavish UFC fight that's going to happen at the White House, while at the same time telling everybody that he doesn't give a shit if oil gets to, like, I don't know, say $200 a barrel, which again, bad optics, ridiculous for the president of the United States to say, completely out of touch with not only reality, but with everybody else that he's supposed to be representing in this country. So lots to get to, lots to talk about. The $1 billion for Trump's ballroom, again, right in line with what we were just discussing. So it went from $200 million that was going to be privately funded to $300 million that was going to be privately funded to $400 million that may be privately funded, but also we may find somewhere in through Congress that we could get that money, to now $1 billion that's definitely going to come from taxpayer money. All of that to talk about the good liars in the village as well, talking about the cult and the sycophancy that still remains within this Trump base, and that will remain until this guy takes his last breath, and probably long after, unfortunately. And then we have Benny Johnson taking his, I don't know, maybe 10th, 15th victory lap as it pertains to the war in Iran with his video, and then some updates from Ukraine as well. So like I said, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you guys so much. What do you say we bring in the chat, say hello to you fabulous individuals that keep this thing going? Give you guys some screen time, because that's what you deserve. That's what you guys deserve. Like I said, you guys keep it running. You guys hit the Venmo when you can. You send in a buck or two when it's possible, right? And that's why I thank you. That's why I love you. That's why the show keeps running, because we have fantastic mods here. We have fantastic people in this community, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Substack. Love you all the same. Love you all the same. Sign up at the Patreon. Hit a membership at the YouTube right underneath me. Less than a gallon of gas, people. Less than a gallon of gas. Where are you going to find that bang for your buck anywhere else? But what's going on, Yakov? What's up, Dusty? What's going on, brother? What's going on, Rox? What's up, Samuel? What's up, Frank? How are you? What's up, Dockley Yaws? What's up, Alyosha? I see you over there on Twitch, my friend. How's everything going? What's up, Dame Dog? What's up, Flipper? Make sure everybody gets comfortable when they come in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, please, if you will. It does a lot for the channel. You may not think so, but it really, really does. What's up, Namaste? How are you? CDN Oli Man, what's going on over there on Twitch? Gas is now over $2 a liter here now. Now, where's that? That sounds like an overseas thing, because obviously a liter, right? But you say dollars at the same time, so I'm kind of confused. So let me know in the chat if you can where that's coming from, because I'd like to know again what everybody's paying around the world, because we've been keeping up on what's going on in like the European markets, obviously what's going on in the Asian markets as well, because that is a huge deal. That's a large part of the problem right now with the Strait of Hormuz. He says East Coast of Canada, CDN Canadian. All right, I appreciate that, my man. I appreciate that. Not only you watching, but keeping us informed at what's going on in your area. Shout out to you. Thank you for being in the chat. What's going on, Luck Dragon? Luck Dragon's having one hell of a time in the chat tonight. I love it. It seems to be like they're fighting with themselves down there almost. Apparently somebody's taken over one of their chats, but I have a slight feeling that Luck Dragon's playing one over on us, but I could be wrong. What's going on, Treva? How are you? Good to see you, Treva. Hal called out my name to say thanks, and I wasn't ready. I dropped my phone and knocked over an empty glass into the trash. Well, hey, listen, it could have been worse. Let's look on the bright side, Treva. Could have been worse. At least it was in the trash, right? Could have been outside the trash, and then it would have been, 10 times worse at that rate. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? At least you were recognized twice tonight. So let's go. You're having yourselves a fucking night. Having yourself a night. What's going on, Kathleen? How are you? Yeah, I know. We were talking about that. We took a look at that earlier on in the early show. We were kind of going around on the AAA website, just kind of looking at what people in the different parts of the country were paying for gas, and it really is outrageous. I mean, it's just, again, talking about like a self-inflicted wound too. Like, we don't have, like so much the war in Ukraine to blame anymore, or COVID or anything. Like, this is all like we shot ourselves in the foot, and we continue to do it to ourselves. And obviously the reporting from the experts to that say how long it's going to take for this to get anywhere back to, I don't know, something that seems like normalcy. Who knows what the kind of bottoming out point is going to be comparative to where we were before the war started. Because a lot of these guys on the right, a lot of these podcasters on the right, and these talking heads over there continue to applaud any kind of little movement in the stock market, right? If the stock market goes up, if the oil prices come down, while not recognizing that even with that decline or even with that boost, like, it doesn't take away from where we were just before the war started as far as price per barrel of oil or what a gallon of gas was costing around the country. You know what I mean? Because I can guarantee Kathleen on the coast wasn't paying $5.75 every single time that she had to fill up. I can tell you that much. What's up, Starlene? How are you? I see you down there. Pam, what's going on? How are you, dear? Good to see you. Good to see you. What's up, Niam? How are you? What's going on? I hope I pronounced that right, unless I'm just way off on that. It's 4 liters per gallon approximately, so $6 a gallon. Yeah. So we were trying to do the conversions on one of the. What was the video that I brought up? You guys will probably better remember more than I do, considering the concussions and stuff. But anyways, oh no, it was the automotive channel that I watch on YouTube, where they were filling up near the Autobahn in Germany, and they were talking about how the conversions, not only the conversions, but they were already, and this was maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, they were already being limited to how many liters of petrol they could get at the gas station. So it wasn't like you could just fill your tank up anytime you wanted. You had to make sure that, you knew where the gas stations were going to be. Obviously, if you were taking a long enough trip that required that. But also the price conversions, he said he was already paying over $10 a gallon. And then if, the nearer you get to the Autobahn, the more expensive that gets. He said that could even go up 30%. And this was a couple weeks ago. So I can only assume or imagine what people are paying in that area right now. I mean, especially truck drivers, right? Like truck drivers, we talked about with Jack Richardson on the show the other day, the fishing community. Right. I mean, they depend heavily upon these things and the price of these things to make sure that they can eke out a living. I mean, I used to work down the docks at one of the marinas down here for years. And way back then, they were already talking about, the price increases and how much gas and fuel was costing comparative to like the price of lobsters or the price of the fish that they were bringing in. And like where the benefit was and how long they could last. And it was already, running people out of the business way back then. So, how people are surviving nowadays with, again, the price of fuel, the price of diesel and stuff, to be able to go out, expend all that time, all the hours out there on the water, using up the fuel, to maybe have a good catch, to maybe not have a good catch, right? I mean, it is fishing, so you're not guaranteed anything anytime that you go out there. So, it's crazy to see what everybody's kind of spending nowadays around here. Not around here, but around this country, I should say. Not even around this country, around the world. I mean, it's we keep forgetting that this is a worldwide impact. This is, the worldwide economy and how tied together we are. There's pretty good, if you didn't understand that before this, and kind of how, even if it's not us specifically that relies on the Strait of Hormuz for, the majority of our goods or our oil, then it still has an impact on us, much like Zelensky was saying in the Oval Office to Donald Trump when Donald Trump and JD decided to snap on him. That's what he was saying. Like, hey, you got an ocean in between you, but don't think that you guys can't feel the pain. Like, don't think that there's no like economic pain that you guys can feel because of what's happening in these different places around the world, right? I mean, this is like the isolationist thought that was going around and purveying the United States during World War II or just prior to World War II, obviously before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. But it was like, oh, don't worry, that's just it's a far-flung war in a far-flung place in a land that we don't understand, speaking languages that we can't understand. So why get involved? Let them duke it out. Let them I'm not understanding that. Hey, you know what I mean? If the German military starts knocking on the doorstep of the UK, right? If they start knocking on the doorstep of England and they decide to cross that channel, and next thing you know, the way in which the United States handles itself and has to do business would have changed drastically. And then obviously we found out later what could happen if, in fact, the Japanese, much like they did, decided to sneak attack us in Pearl Harbor and take out thousands of our military servicemen and women. And that's ultimately kind of what gave the go ahead, the kick in the ass, so to speak, for this country to say, okay, maybe this is something we need to look into. Maybe this is something that we need to worry about. I mean, not to say that everybody thought that way, but to a large extent, that is what FDR had to deal with. But now, thank you for everybody kind of keeping me up to speed on what's going on in your area of the world. Because I think a lot of the time here in the United States, we kind of get in that bubble of focusing on what's happening here while not recognizing the impacts all over the world to people less fortunate, to countries that have less resources and can't deal with this like economic damage that they've been suffering for the amount of time that we may be able to here in the United States. So I appreciate you guys for keeping me up to speed. What's that one say? Easy Network says $5.94 a gallon for diesel on average in Ohio. Right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like truck drivers too. I know I focused on the fishing community, but same thing with truck drivers. Like if you're a long haul truck driver or even a short haul truck driver at this point, like you got to start really kind of doing the math on what hauls you take in, what loads you take in, how far it is. You know what I mean? Like, how much you're getting paid for that compared to, what the fuel costs are going to be. Not that you didn't do that before, but now it's like, it's vastly more important. I feel like, and again, I'm sure there's truckers in the chat here that can speak to this way better than I can. So let me know in the chat if that's what you did, that's what you do, how it affects you. Because I'm sure that's something else that a lot of people aren't touching on, because that's how we get a lot of the shit around the country, right? I mean, let's face it. That's how a lot of the shit either gets to your doorstep or the fucking stores that you frequent, right? It's on the backs of trucks. And before that, it's on ships that have to get through either the strait or that use fuel, and that fuel cost goes up. And then those goods and what the companies charge that are trying to import or export those goods goes up. And then what you pay at the store for those goods is reflected upon, what's going on in the war and stuff. So that's how this stuff works. That's why we have to keep touch on what's happening here. Like I said, it was only a matter of time before the Republicans, the neocons, and like the people that want to see, bloodshed and the erasure basically of Iran, people that are kind of looking at this in the other direction that we are, started speaking up. Let me throw this on the screen real quick. And there's a clip to go along with this Mediaite article as well. But this is Hugh Janus, not Hugh Janus. What's his name? Hugh Hewitt. No, Hugh Hewitt. Hugh Hewitt is his name. Let me throw him on the screen. But he's now condemning Trump's New Deal, which, again, who the hell knows what the deal really is? I've never seen a deal that's like this difficult to find online. Like a one-page, 14-point deal. You'd think there'd be 1,000 different places that would have the bullet points. 14 bullet points that say, this is what's happening. This is the memo. Right. Instead of, it's just like speculation, reporting, people's like, review of what the memo is. It's just so weird. Like the best I could find is this one. And obviously this is just like the AI putting together the like conglomeration of reporting on the internet to speculate what the 14 deals would be, like the 14-point plan would be. right? We read a few of these this morning. On Twitter, I was reported by a few different sites, but again, nothing that said, okay, here's 14 fucking bullet points. Here's what's going on. Here's what the two sides have to agree upon. But it didn't really matter. Again, we're talking about this like it's real, which is crazy to start off from. It's just ridiculous to start off from that basis because just the points we read this morning were non-starters, right? They were just non-negotiation starting points for this place. You know what I mean? It was either Iran was definitely not going to do what the United States wanted them to do, or the United States was definitely not going to do what Iran said that they wanted them to do. Like right off the bat, whether it was, with the enriched uranium, we're already talking about, giving back. And now you have to correct myself. Thank God I remember this. I have to correct myself from this morning because I talked about the frozen Iranian assets this morning. And the total that I mentioned was around $20 billion, as was reported in one of the rounds of negotiations that came out. But apparently it's more upwards of like 150 to $200 billion that, again, would be released back to the Iranian regime per their frozen assets, not to mention the sanction relief. Obviously, you can see now why, people in Donald Trump's party here, I think it was Hugh Hewitt, are already calling this out as like a really, really horrible deal. Again, where we were in the JCPOA compared to where we are with this possible agreement or any agreement that may stem from this and the power that Iran is likely to have on either the Strait of Hormuz or just, in general on the geopolitical stage because of what's taken place here. Like a lot more countries are probably going to take them more seriously, even though there's no kind of, clear like regime in charge. There's no clear systematic leader right now. Like a lot of people are going back and forth. There's spokespeople that we can look at. There's people in different leadership positions that we could look at, but there's no really cohesive, one-minded government coming out with ideals or proposals or yes or no to this or that. It's kind of like a conglomerate of people with different ideas, different ways of doing things. So again, this whole thing is it's a farce. It's chaotic. There's no real way to understand or to get down to like, the brass tacks on what's actually going to take place. But here's kind of a few of the core objectives as it says here. It says key points of the proposal. While the full verbatim text has not been released publicly, why the fuck not? I don't know. And again, I pulled this up before the show, so my apologies if it's been released in the meantime. But per the latest I saw before coming live, this is what I saw. It just hasn't been publicly released. Again, it's a 1-page 14-point. This isn't like a 1,500-page bill that people have to go through. It's fucking supposedly 1 page. What are we doing here, people? So sources including Al Jazeera and NPR, and I did pull up an Al Jazeera clip that may be able to give us some more insight. Again, this said Al Jazeera, so I went into the Al Jazeera direction to see what they had to say, but I wanted to dive into it with you guys. This says security and military. One talking point, an immediate end to the war throughout the region, including in Lebanon. We're going to have to talk to Israel about that one because they may not be happy off the jump. U.S. guarantees against any future military aggression. Withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from Iran's periphery and the wider region. So was that just the Middle East in general? Because what is Iran's periphery? That would just be anybody in the surrounding area, right? I mean, it's a strange use of the term. I don't know if that's the exact, phraseology used in the memo, but if it is, it's a strange thing that's a strange way to word that. Iran's periphery and the wider region. So not just the periphery, the wider region. So one would have to assume the Middle East. So would have to agree to the withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the entire Middle East. Economic and financial ramifications would be lifting of both primary and secondary U.S. sanctions. Again, something else that is going to help benefit this regime, whatever regime decides to step in front here and take the reins. Finally, the release of billions of dollars in frozen Iranian assets, which we talked about, could be upwards from $100 to $200 billion at this point. Meanwhile, you got the Republicans that love to talk about what was the total with Obama? It was like 1.5 or 1.7 or something like that, $1.7 billion that he originally released based upon business dealings that Iran had already had with, I want to say, another country in the Middle East. I'm blanking on which country it was, but, they're nowhere near what everybody's saying as far as like it was a pallet of cash that we sent over here from the United States all the way over to Iran, which is what you'll hear them talking about. But funny, they won't bring up the $200 billion that we're likely to give back to Iran in their frozen assets. It also says payment of war reparations and damages to Iran for losses incurred during the conflict. Payment of war reparations damages to Iran for losses incurred during the conflict. Again, this sounds more like a wish list that is very likely not to be agreed upon. So everybody's saying that like we're 2 seconds away from a deal. We're right around the corner from a peace deal. Again, obviously hasn't read the sticking points, hasn't been following this war since the beginning, hasn't heard what the Iranian side has been saying, hasn't heard what the United States has been saying and the difference in between the two. It also goes on to talk about a mutual lifting of blockades in the Strait of Hormuz to restore shipping transit, establishment of new long-term mechanisms governing the navigation in the strait. So establishment of new long-term mechanisms governing this navigation in the strait. Again, a free and open waterway before the war. Now we're going to have to establish some mechanisms on who's going to govern that. Are we going to have joint governance over the international waterway that was an open and free international waterway before we undertook this war? Like, is Iran again going to come out of this with some like legal and respectable control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is, again, far worse off than anywhere we were in Obama's deal, the JCPOA. Again, that's why I don't understand, because I've heard a lot of people talk about how, Donald Trump basically did all this, and then at the very end of it, he did away with Obama's nuclear deal, undertook this war, and at the end of it, he's basically just going to do the Obama deal again. It's like, I don't see this as being anywhere even remotely close to the Obama deal. I mean, maybe a few of the words may be the same, but at the end of the fucking day, how can we say that we're anywhere close to having like the eyes that were on the ground kind of reporting on what was going on from the moment the uranium was taken out of the ground, from the moment it was used at its end point? Right? Like the reports and the review, like all of the things that we know about the JCPOA, like where are those in this again? Because, I find this to be a much worse position, a much worse deal, in giving Iran much more power on the international stage than anything the JCPOA did. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. If there's any international scholars in the chat, correct me and let me know where I'm wrong, because that's what I see. I mean, that's just kind of what I get from it. Let's see here. Also talks about the establishment. Yeah, we talked about that nuclear framework, a proposed moratorium on uranium enrichment. Negotiations vary between 5 and 20 years. So no, the Iranians didn't say they were going to give up their enriched uranium, like Donald Trump continues to say on a nightly basis. He continues to say that have agreed upon that time after time. Meanwhile, he says he doesn't know who he's talking to. Let's just put that right in the face of it right there. Doesn't know who he's talking to, doesn't know who the leader is, but whoever he's speaking to has time and time again said that they were willing to give up their enriched uranium. Meanwhile, we look at the actual wording of the deal, and it says proposed moratorium on enriched uranium, which is not, hey, we're going to hand it over to the United States. And negotiations vary between 5 and 20 years. That's not anything like what we've been told. It also goes on to say the transfer of Iran's existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium to a third party or to the U.S. But what is the moratorium? So basically after that, the transfer of the stockpile would go to a third party or to the U.S. Termination of all UN Security Council and IAEA board resolutions against Iran. As of May 6, 2026, the plan is being evaluated by both governments through mediators in Pakistan. The president has paused Project Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz, like we talked about this morning, citing great progress in these talks through a final agreement reached remains unsigned. Though a final agreement remains unsigned, which is just, again, comical to report that the talks are going well. Meanwhile, I believe the reports are that there's been no direct talks between the United States and the Iranians. It's basically going through, like we just said, the third party there. The mediator, Pakistan. So for Donald Trump to say the talks are going real well, meanwhile, it's a 14-point plan, 1 page. Shouldn't take that long to review. Let's just be serious here. Let's just be serious. Shouldn't be like a whole 2 days, 48 hours, as I think he's given them to respond to this. It should be like, okay, yep, no, no, yes, no, yes, No. All right, send that back. Like that's pretty much all it should take there to kind of run through that. But like I said, there's already people. I called this morning that it would be the Mark Levins and the Lindsey Grahams that would come out and have a problem with this. Well, this one is from Hugh Hewitt, doubles down on condemnation of Trump's new Iran deal, a disaster unfolding in real time, he calls it. Fox News contributor Hugh Hewitt on Wednesday called President Donald Trump's reported new deal with Iran a disaster unfolding in real time. Hours earlier, Axios global affairs correspondent Barack Ravid, who we also discussed this morning, who I'm surprised crawled out of Donald Trump's ass to make a statement in this, reported that the U.S. and Iran were making progress on potentially reaching a deal, as he's done 40,000 times before, to make sure that he could effect some change on the market, and officially ending the war that began in late February. Sources told David that the two sides were nearing a one-page memorandum of understanding. Oh, well, again, for this whole thing to come down to like 1 page and 14 bullet points is just, again, comical, on its face, which would end the war before setting the stage for nuclear talks. According to David's reporting, the terms of the nuclear deal could include a 15-year freeze on Iran's program. Again, this isn't, we're going to obliterate it. We're going to make it so that they could never have a nuclear program. They could never have a weapon. Seems like they're willing to negotiate. They're willing to kind of budge on that talking point. It says Iran's enriched uranium has been a key hurdle through the negotiations. While the U.S. wants Iran to surrender its uranium and end its enrichment program, Iran has vowed not to abandon its nuclear ambitions. In response to David's report, Hewitt initially called it a terrible deal and said that Iran should be barred from uranium enrichment forever. President Trump never gives up leverage. He continued in a tweet, "Why would he start now with with hashtag Iran on the ropes?" So he actually had a video here. Let me see. Put this on the thing real quick, because he goes on to speak to one of his guests about this, and he's not, like I said, just like he's saying here, he's not very happy with the terminology of the deal. He's not very happy that it looks like, Donald Trump may be liking or kind of willing to agree to something like this. And he kind of continued this. This was just put out a couple hours ago. It says, "It is a terrible deal," and John explains to Hugh's audience why President Trump should reject it. Again, all of the people on the right dancing up and down, like we'll hear Benny Johnson do in just a little bit, tap dancing about like the 15th victory in this. It's all over. Meanwhile, he's got a post about 2 days ago that said Donald Trump just started World War III. So how you can kind of put those two things together in the same reality, I'm not fucking sure, but it is Benny Johnson, so I don't know why we're thinking about it that deeply. Anyway, here's Hugh Janus talking about how this is a terrible deal for the United States, and he has no idea why Donald Trump would even be contemplating saying yes to something like this, as I told you was going to happen, even from the Republican side. So let's just dive into a minute or two of this, and then we'll go on to something else. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. My name's Brian. Thank you guys to all the sparkles and everybody else coming on over from all of the different places to show me some love. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20K. It's a slow roll, but we're getting there steadily. Thank you to the best chat on earth here at Blunt Politics, and to the most fantastic mods on the earth. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I was trying to make it the better than everything else I said. I failed miserably. What are you going to do? I love you. I love you. All right, here we go. Hugh Janus.
Morning, glory, and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined now.
Morning, glory, and Hugh Janus. People, I'm Hugh Janus, and listen to the show. Welcome to the show.
Who would listen to this? Like, I know there's some people that have like a face for radio, and obviously you can tell when somebody has a voice for radio. This isn't striking me as either. Like, the face for the radio I get, okay? Definitely got a face for radio. That much is plain and simple. But, like, who's going to listen to this the whole time? And welcome to the show. I'm Hugh Janus. Thank you. And we're going to talk about this terrible deal. Like, Jesus Christ. How are you going to struggle listening to that?
By John Podhoretz, editor-in-chief of Commentary Magazine, my companion. Almost
open the mouth. Like, just let the lips free. Like, why does it look like, I know we call you Hugh Janus, but it doesn't mean you have to like shape your lips into the form of an anus while you speak. Like, that's just a joke, buddy. Like, take it easy. Don't take it so literally. Or you just let the freak flag fly, buddy. Let it like, say, just loosen up, Chief.
an hour a day, Monday through Friday on the Commentary Podcast. Sometimes they take a day off. John, I have spent the first 2 hour inveighing against the alleged deal that Barack Ravid reported on today. I need a tag team partner to take over. It's a terrible.
Poor choice of words there. With a party that is so deeply invested in a site called Grindr. when you got people like Lindsey Graham, Benny Johnson, and the list could go on. Maybe a different choice of words in that situation. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out on a limb and say you weren't talking about wrestling.
Horrible idea. What do you think?
Yeah. So we can just close up shop there. It's a terrible idea.
The guy's like, it's a fucking horrible deal. It's stupid. We should have never been in this war in the fucking first place. What do you want me to say there, Enos? What do you want me to say? Yes. Let's get on to the next question. Stupid deal, dumb war, next. like I've never like now he loosens up. Now Hugh loosens up when he finds out how terrible of a deal this is and what a dumb question he just asked. Like, yes, it's stupid. Next question.
And the question is why we're here now. I mean, it's 14 ideas or 12 ideas or something like that. And I don't frankly understand what's going on because he told you on Monday.
This was just put out a couple hours ago. Like, how ridiculous is it that people don't understand like the exact text of the memo? There isn't like, okay, we should all be holding the same picture of the same memo or the same printout of the same memo or the same reporting on the memo and the 14 bullet points and exactly what they said. Like, instead of this speculation or this is how it's been reported on and this is my interpretation of the memo. It's like, why are we talk about lack of transparency? You got fucking even people on the right, supposed experts on the right, like, I don't know what really is in there, but let's speculate as to why it's a shitty deal, because anything that Donald Trump does is typically a shitty deal. So this is probably going to fall right in line with that.
Today, I believe that his bottom line was that the United States needed to secure physical control of the Iranian dust, the uranium, and that does not seem to be what is lined up in this report, which we don't have like a piece of paper here, but he
it's just like, oh, fucking, we're just purely speculating. It's not like we have an actual piece of paper, a physical report, or anything from this government detailing exactly what type of fucking memo we're talking about. But, based off of the reporting, let's speculate some more. Like, the whole thing. But what he's saying is, Hugh apparently just had Donald Trump on the show, and everything that Donald Trump said on Hugh's show, not just a couple days ago, seemingly was contradicted in this memo, in the points, in the possible agreements, that could be agreed upon, which are very unlikely to be agreed upon if we're being real. But they're speculating here again as to why the change in the tone, in the rhetoric, and what Donald Trump said just a few days ago on this guy's show, and what's in this new memo. And apparently, Donald Trump just getting sick and tired of the war. Right now, he's just getting tired of it. He wants done with it. He wants out of it any way possible. And again, not ruling out the escalation, not ruling out, the ongoing dropping of bombs and missiles. Again, if a deal isn't struck. But, we'll see where we go from here. We're just trying to sift through the bullshit and figure out what's going on. Like I said, when you spend all day trying to listen to experts that can't find even their source on or like a specific 14-point bullet note on what the memo says, it's like that can tell you where the hell we are as far as, geopolitically.
If the report is to be believed, he's looking for a way to wind down the war with words. And I don't know what changed between when he spoke to you and when Pete Hegseth spoke yesterday morning and when Marco Rubio spoke yesterday afternoon.
Everything changed. Everything changed. It went from this huge operation of Project Freedom with 15,000 troops involved in Black Hawk helicopters and fucking Seahawk helicopters and drones and fast attack boats and fucking warships, the whole 9 yards. It was going to be a huge operation. We were going to go in there. We were going to escort all the ships out of there. The 15 or 20,000 people now trapped on those vessels and have been for quite some time because of the dumbass war that we started. But we were going to go in there and just open that goddamn straight like a fucking bottle top, right? We were just going to paint that sumbitch red, white, and blue like Pete Hegseth said. We were going to put a dome over it, and it was going to be the safest passage on the fucking face of the planet. Well, apparently, time out, ixnay on that one. Forget about that. You know that whole thing we were talking about? Yeah. Pause. Time out. No, we're stopping that. No, I know. I know. It was a huge deal. I know. I know. No, no. It's done. I know what you were thinking, but no, we ain't doing that anymore. It's like you can't even keep up with it, right? And Preston kind of touches on that in one of the videos that I have pulled up where he's like, I'm trying to make a video on Operation or Project Freedom, and meanwhile, by the time I get it out there, it's already fucking ixnayed, it's already scrapped, and we're on to the next thing. Like, if that doesn't tell you where we are militarily, like, the guidance in our Pentagon right now, then, I don't know what will. But it's just, again, these people trying to figure out where it's going, and obviously calling this out as a ridiculous moment to be in, not only giving Iran more power, but the likely deal put place, as per the reporting, as per everybody that's, been able to review it. But again, it only comes out of Barack Ravid's asshole, apparently. Like Donald Trump's memo and like everything that he says, his statements goes from the White House, and it has to pass through Barack Ravid's asshole before it gets to anybody else. So that's why everybody's having a tough time sifting through this nonsense, because it has to go with this. But this was, like I said, you saw in the tab that I pulled up that Al Jazeera seemed to have, some clear insight or reporting as to what this was. This was kind of the only one of the clips that I could find that was talking about this. It says a proposed U.S.-Iran memo would pause the war for 30 days to seek a final deal. We read that this morning. Analyst Abbas Anslani and Mark Kimmett, says Washington's offer answers Tehran's 14-point plan, but Iran wants to leave nuclear talks for later. And I just wanted to see if anything in the first minute or two of this gave us a little bit more insight, gave us some more detail, a bullet point that we haven't seen been reported, considering the breadth of reporting that's come out of this, but nothing actually concrete or definitive as far as, again, the 14 points or the 9 points that went. The whole thing's nuts. There's too many points going around. That's the whole fucking thing. But this is, again, Al Jazeera. We'll just go into a minute or two, see if there's anything else that we need to know about this, and then we could dive on to the next one. Oh, before we do that, this is what I was talking about earlier. People comparing this to the JCPOA. Like, this is Matthew Iglesias put up, tear up JCPOA, loudly deny that the alternative to the JCPOA is war. 3, do the war. 4, war proves to be costly. And 5, propose recreating the JCPOA. Like, I understand like where we're trying to go with that and just making it seem like it was really stupid and that we're just back to square one, but we're not back to square one. Like, nothing proposed in that brings us back to square one where we were before the war, and damn sure not where we were during the signing of the Obama nuclear deal. Like, I don't understand this whole thing, really. Like, if maybe this provision of, like, as it's kind of, you can see it highlighted on your screen here. It says, among other provisions, the deal would involve Iran committing to a moratorium on nuclear enrichment, the U.S. agreeing to lift its sanctions and release billion in frozen funds. I don't know if that was like part of the exact wording of the Obama nuclear deal. I'd have to go back and look at what was said in there. But I mean, if even that is kind of removing all of the surrounding aspects around it and how much worse off we would be, like how much worse of a deal that is, like how much more power and again, supposed respect other countries would have to give Iran on the world stage geopolitically if a deal like that was signed. So I just think it's doing a disservice to compare this to the JCPOA in totality, even if, again, some of the the points, the bullet points, the talking points are similar or the same, even like in totality, the war that we've now started, the instability in the Middle East, obviously the gas and oil prices that we're dealing with now, not to mention the longevity and how long it's going to take to even reset to whatever reset means at this point. Like I said this morning, who knows what where the bottoming out is here. Like when it does kind of settle down, whenever that's going to be, it's probably not going to be $55 a barrel. It's probably likely to be higher than that. It's not going to be whatever the national average for gas was before this war. It's probably likely to be higher than that for a long, long time. Like, you know what I'm saying? And again, I could be wrong, and I will say so if in fact that happens. But I feel like that's much more likely than not. In this situation, but I just wanted to bring that up, where a lot of people being like, oh, the JCPOA, we're right back to square. No, the fuck we ain't. I can tell you that much. We got a much more hardline regime. Again, just totally discounts that the hardline regime in place, the much more affiliated with the IRGC, him being younger, the Ayatollah now, right? Him being around, going to be around a lot longer potentially because of the age difference and discrepancies, between him and his father, who was in charge before that. Not only that, but the number of people that we've killed within his family, in his immediate family and surroundings. You know what I mean? It's like, where is it going to look like we're going to be on better terms? Where is it likely to come out like with a more amicable relationship? with the Iranians than before. Just nowhere on this entire thing does it seem like that's going to be a possibility. But here's, like I said, Al Jazeera, just the first minute or two. Hit that like button. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really, really means a lot if you were to do so. Again, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, don't do it just to do it. You got to find some benefit and enjoyment in the show, obviously. So let's just see if there's anything else we missed, anything else we need to cover in the first couple minutes of this, and then we'll dive on to a few of our other stories. All right, appreciate you guys.
Joining me here in the studio is retired U.S. General Mark Kimmett. He's also a former Assistant Secretary of State for Political and Military Affairs. General, good to have you here in the studio.
Thank you.
And also joining us from Tehran is Abbas Aslani. He is a Senior Research Fellow at the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies. Thank you so much for joining us. General and Abbas, stand by for me 1 second, because I want to look at what's actually being discussed here. What's actually on the table. Now, according to U.S. media reports, Iran would agree not to develop a nuclear weapon.
See, this is the fucking problem, though. Like, it's all a big circle jerk as far as the reporting is concerned. Like, we're watching Al Jazeera. Look at what their source is. Their source is just Axios. Again, Donald Trump's fucking, left nut at this point. Barack Ravid at Axios. So it's just like the whole circle jerk of, oh, we're just going to use that one reporting to, justify, this entire segment here. You know what I mean? So it's basically nothing new that we're going to learn. It's no different than me pulling up this 14-point plan here. That just is basically the AI going through all of the reports on the internet and pulling up what it can see or find as being, distinctly the points of contention. There's just, I don't see how it's any different. So I'm not going to waste your time with that. I'm sure it's everything that we already know and saw already to begin with. What do you say we dive onto this craziness and nonsense? Because again, we're talking about optics here. We're talking about pain and suffering. What you're paying at the pump, obviously what you're paying at the grocery store is consistently rising and rising and rising. You guys have to worry about getting your kids or your grandkids here or there back to school, paying for school, right? Making sure you're able to get to work, the babysitters, the field trips, playing, hockey, soccer, football, the whole 9 yards is getting much more difficult on a daily basis here for everybody. Meanwhile, we got this asshole here. Not that asshole, because that's just a list there, but this asshole here talking about this lavish, this glamorous and over-the-top UFC event that's going to be held at the White House that's going to cost God knows how many thousands and thousands of dollars to put on. This is going to be a ridiculous showcase, again, in the midst of this war, in the midst of these, the most chaotic in basically fucking unstable geopolitical time that I've ever seen in my lifetime, at least. And again, we've seen some pretty unstable and fucking hairy geopolitical times just in the 40 years that I've been alive. So that's saying something. But here he is again, not only talking about this lavish UFC fight that's going to go on, again, this ridiculous, nonsensical bullshit that's going to be really, really bad optics at this time, at any moment in time, let's be clear, but really bad optics at this point in time. But at the same time he's doing this, he also had a moment in this where he said, basically, I forget if he was asked by a reporter, if he just kind of blurted it out himself. But the fact that if it did go up to $200 per barrel for oil, that it really wouldn't be a big deal. He doesn't mind, again, showing how out of touch with reality because of his supposed wealth that he's had. The fact that he's never fucking been shopping for himself in his life, wouldn't know how to push a grocery fucking cart down the shopping, down the lanes in the shopping mall. Like, this motherfucker doesn't know anything about that, so he can't relate to what you and I are feeling. He can't relate to you and I struggling through every single day, hoping that some big whale will pop into the live stream and maybe hit you with the big Venmo or hit you with the super chat so that you can stay alive, so that you can feed yourself for the next fucking day, so that you can make sure that you can continue to have a roof over your head and shit. He doesn't know what that feels like. He has no idea what it feels like to live off of Social Security or your pension, to have a limited fucking access to wealth, a limited access to money every single month, and to have to fucking penny pinch and to really look at where those dollars are going so you can make it, last. And so you can get the things in the most important things in your life, because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. If you're anything like me, I know it. So, I feel the pain just with you. But again, just to show you how ridiculous of a moment this is, I'll just kind of go where he's showing this. Here is where he pulls up a little. image of it.
Dana White was here last night. Did you know that he was here last night?
Again, somehow anybody who thinks this is like a good look at this moment in time, this like ridiculous AI rendering of what this event is going to look like, and this spectacle in front of the White House, people getting their fucking heads kicked in on the White House lawn. You know what I mean? But I think he goes on. I forget if he's asked, like I said, I don't know where it was. I won't subject you to too much of this. But he goes on to talk about how, actually, you know what I can do? Let me just find it here. This is probably an easier way to do it. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Well, yeah, I won't make you stare at that guy's fucking face for too much longer. I'll just go here and I'll search it. Let's see. Trump 200 oil. That should probably bring it up. Make sure you hit that like button while we're waiting. Yeah, here it is right here. This fucking nonsense. Throw this on the screen for you guys. Like I said, for in kind of so I don't have to subject you to too much of that press conference, because like I said, it's just him announcing that UFC fight. Again, the poor optics not seen by anybody in the room, and I can't stand hearing the fake laughs, like the fucking let's laugh at what the Fuhrer says because we have to laugh at what the Fuhrer says because what the Fuhrer says is funny, and even if it's not funny, then we have to laugh and make him think that it's funny because he is the Fuhrer type of shit. I can't stand it, so I won't subject you guys to it. But here is just that moment in that press conference where Trump is talking about, I thought oil prices would go to $200 to $250. It's at $100 now. Even if it went to $200, it would have been worth it. And again, not to say that we're out of those fucking muddy waters yet. Let's kind of hold the phone on whether or not we're likely to still see $200 or $250 a barrel, considering that we still don't have a deal and we seem to be very far apart. Considering what the two sides are saying, what the two sides are saying as far as demands and talking points. So again, here he is talking. Just probably one of the dumbest things that you could say at a moment in time like this as the president. Possibly one of the dumbest things, like to say that I don't give a shit, like the pain that this is causing to the American people. I know that's not, specifically what he says, but that is what he's saying, right? Without using as many words, he's saying, I don't give a fuck how much you're paying at the pump. I don't give a fuck how much this is affecting your life. I don't give a shit, right? What changes you have to make in your life to make ends meet because of what's going on. Like, I'll fucking double it. It's at 100 now. I don't give a shit if it's 200. I don't give a shit if you have to pay $10 a fucking gallon, right? Suffer, because I think it's worth it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here on my fucking billions from crypto and my gold sneakers and my NFTs and my fucking cologne, right? And my $10 billion lawsuit I get against my own fucking government that I'm in charge of. Make that make sense? But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're just going to manipulate the market on a daily basis. That way we can fucking reap the benefits off the back end, while also saying I don't give a shit how much harm I'm doing to the constituents, to the people that I'm supposed to represent. And again, this is just real quick. Don't have to subject you to much. Just a quick about 20 seconds of the dumbest thing a president could possibly say if he had like a real PR team, if he had real fucking administrators or people surrounding him that were trying to tell him what to do, what to say, what not to say, as far as like what optics, what a good look is, and what a president should be saying in this moment in time. This is the fucking first thing that they'd tell you. First thing that they'd tell you. Just don't go out there and say you don't care if this were to double, right? Because that just really, demeans everybody's suffering that they're going through right now. But that's exactly what he did. Check it out.
And we're up. The stock market's higher now than when we started this war. And I thought oil prices would go to $200, $250. It's at $100 now. And I think you're surprised, and I'm surprised. But even if it went to 200, it would have been worth it. I understood that. We had just set a record. And
again, he says it would have been worth it, while also in the same breath, in probably the same press conference, saying that we're more than willing to kick back off with the bombing, with the explosions, with the fucking drones and the missiles, if in fact Iran doesn't agree to A, B, C, or D. Right. So how he's talking about this being over with, how he's talking about this being like, if it did get to that point, like we still could fucking get to that point. Again, if the Iranians continue to close up the Strait of Hormuz, if the Iranians decide to enact the power and leverage they have with their proxies over the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, right? If they decide to start lobbing missiles and drones into oil and gas fields in the Middle East, they're going to see a real fucking problem really goddamn quick. Like a really big problem, really goddamn quick, even beyond what we're seeing right now. So the fact that he's talking about this in the past tense, I think just goes to show like his desperation to end this, like how desperate he is to get this over with, whether it's, the pressure, being put on him by, maybe different companies that are now feeling the pain because of this, his buddies, his rich people in the background that are trying to, yapping in his ear, or again, it is something of the gas prices that he knows he's really fucking the chances up for for the Republican Party. I know to a large extent he doesn't give a shit, but I'm probably, that you could be sure that there's some people in the background trying to kind of nudge him in the ribs, being like, hey, you're really fucking making it pretty difficult for us to have any sort of victory whatsoever to hang our hat on when midterms come around, because we're gonna get fucking trounced, right? We're just gonna get steamrolled if this happens. I'm sure they didn't put it like that to him. They have to put it nicely and gently to this son of a bitch, but it was probably along those lines, you can be sure. All right, let's go on here to this next one that I wanted to bring up, because there was a few of these, because this has gone from, again, a $200 million ballroom that taxpayers didn't have to worry about. It was going to be all privately funded. Then it was just a ballroom to begin with. Then we found out there was like a fucking huge military complex going on underneath. It was going to be, bulletproof this and drone proof that. And they were going to have this defense contractor in there, and all the people that were investing it to begin with. We were like, doesn't really add up as to why they'd be investing in just the ballroom. Not only that, but the original price of $200 billion already seemed like it was fucking ridiculous, right? 200 million decided. Now I'm getting it. Yeah, 200 million. I was going to say, now I'm getting it all mixed up. And then it went to 300 million, and then it went to 400 million, and it was all still going to be paid for by, private investors. The American taxpayer didn't have to worry about it. Well, now we've gone to this point, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've gotten to the point where we're up to $1 billion. Okay, we're up to $1 billion. No joke, $1 billion for a ballroom. Again, how the fuck we can get to $1 billion for a ballroom, even if it does have military installations involved in it, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd like to see that fucking breakdown of those costs and see how we could justify that by any stretch of the imagination. And of course, I'm being facetious because you can't really. But $1 billion, and again, now the Republicans want it to be your problem, want it to be my problem, want it to be our expense, want it to come from the taxpayer now. So not only has we 5 times the original fucking price tag on this son of a bitch, but now it's in fact, as it was always going to be, part of the problem that you and I were going to have to pay for. So again, this is just a really quick look into this from CNN. Harry Enton does a quick look at how the GOP, I believe he looks at how the GOP here, or it might be just people in general are viewing the ballroom, but this is titled How Unpopular is Trump's Ballroom, Enton and Newsnight, and they go through a little bit of, the recent talks by the Republicans to try to get this passed through, rushed through, so that the taxpayers could fund it. Evidently. So let's go. Let's take a look at this. Hit that like button. Like I said, my name is Brian. I appreciate you guys in the chat more than you guys could ever possibly know. Please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much to the mods. Let's hop into it. Again, this is why, how unpopular is Trump's ballroom.
Republicans in Congress are now calling for $1 billion of taxpayer money for East Wing construction at the White House. This would be security for the new proposed ballroom that the president swore would be funded with all private donations. Now,
and they're trying to get really fucking clever with the wording on this. Like, it's not for the ballroom per se. It's for the security of the ballroom, and it's for, like, anything surround. It's like for the Secret Service, basically. No, so not the ballroom, but they could use it for anything that they wanted in relations with the ballroom. So again, it's like they're doing this like ridiculous like end around, the same way that they're trying to do like, oh, let's just rename the war that we've started something else. That way nobody will notice. Nobody will know the difference. We'll change it from Operation Epstein Fury to Project Freedom, and then we'll stop Project Freedom and we'll name it something else, right? That way we don't have to go to Congress to seek their approval, their congressional approval for, the authorized use of military force or not, like they're supposed to be voting upon. But again, who am I to say?
Social media, the president just wrote that the cost has gone up because the ballroom is now twice the size and of far higher quality than what was originally proposed. CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton is here. Harry, just basic question, like how popular is the ballroom?
I never thought I'd be discussing ballrooms with John Berman, but here we go.
And why the fuck is it now twice the size? Like, this thing was already a monstrosity to begin with in comparison in relation to the rest of the White House, right? Like, the original drawings and renderings were already like, what the fuck is that thing? Like, that's going to stick out like a goddamn sore thumb. So how does it doubled in size? Are we just talking about, and I'm sure he's not, but is he trying to say like the doubling in size is the bottom half, like the military half of this establishment, of this bunker? Like, I'm confused. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get it. And I'm not one to suspect that this son of a bitch is going to start building $1 billion fucking ballroom and then all of a sudden just leave the office that gets to utilize that. If you get my drift. Like, does anybody else in the chat feel what I'm fucking, picking up what I'm putting down as far as that's concerned? I know this isn't like something that's going to be done anytime soon, but to what extent is something done, by the time he's supposed to get his fat orange ass out of the White House? I don't know. I'm just saying. If there's a fucking couch down there for JD Vance to grab a hold of, right? If there's a fucking, Diet Coke button for Donald Trump to look at, I'm just saying. There's a possibility where they ain't going to fucking want to leave this place. You know what I mean? I don't know. And again, unless we see some huge dramatic shift between JD Vance and Donald Trump, as some people are suspecting, some people are kind of suspecting that Tucker Carlson's going to make a run at, going to try to make a ploy at that JD Vance is somehow the opposition to Donald Trump, so he could take it. Well, we have a lot of time to dive into that, so we don't have to get into that tonight. But here, let's find out how unpopular Donald Trump's ballroom actually is.
I mean, it's the ballroom heard around the world. And, I recall the shot heard around the world, Bobby Thompson, 51. That was popular. This is most certainly not popular. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, privately paid. This is a privately paid. And now, of course, we're talking about potential public funds going to it for the security. Privately paid new White House ballroom. Look at this in October.
And again, I still don't understand there's no change, right? The privately paid new White House ballroom says October 2025, 56% oppose, right? Supported 28%. Now 56% opposed, 28 support. So the fact that there's not more people that have found out about this and are starting to figure out what a complete waste of fucking money this is. Right. And no matter what, this was always going to fall on the U.S. taxpayer. This was never going to come down to Donald Trump's rich donors. They were always going to find a way to get out of this, to having to fund this themselves. But so I'm just saying, I feel like it should be higher than that. But I feel like what he's saying is that this doesn't even take into account yet the Republicans trying to pass this through with taxpayer funding, if I heard that correctly, right? I think he was saying he put this together before the Republicans started to try to push this through in use of taxpayer funds. So there was basically no shift, but we're likely to see even more people disagree with it, obviously, now that the Republicans are coming out and trying to, again, put this on the backs of the U.S. taxpayer.
Of 2025, 56% opposed it, just 28% supported. Now, after all of the press that the president and Republicans have been trying to make in terms of making this ballroom popular, you know how much it's moved in terms of popular opinion? It hasn't moved at all. It's just as unpopular now as it was in October. It is 56%.
And I guess that's the opposite way to look at it. Oh, I guess that's the opposite way to look at it, right? Is the amount of press that the amount of press that the White House has been doing, and the amount of kind of this is a necessity and we need to have this happen from the Republican Party hasn't moved the needle at all either. I guess that's another way to look at it, but I just feel like anybody with a head on their shoulders should, again, any news that they find out about this, any reporting is obviously bullshit. The fact that we are where we are in this country, we have the problems that we face in this country. We're building fucking 200, 500, $1 billion ballroom is come on. What the fuck are we doing here? Anybody with a brain inside of their head should be against that.
Opposed, just 28% support. And I will note, Mr. Berman, that I have my little nugget down here, just 18% of independents supported. This ballroom is simply put unpopular.
28% doesn't seem very high. Put 28% in perspective.
Yeah, I'm going to put 28% in some perspective to you, because to me, as I said at the beginning, I never thought I'd be talking about ballrooms, because ballrooms are just not my style. But Americans who support or believe in ghosts, that comes in at 39%. How about telepathy? That comes in at 29%. And the new White House ballroom comes in below both of those at 28%. So the bottom line is this new White House ballroom is most certainly not popular. More Americans believe in ghosts, and slightly more, though within the margin of error, believe in telepathy.
More people believe in ghosts than support this ballroom, but that, again, is not going to stop the Republican Party from trying to push this through. It's not going to stop Donald Trump for the construction, for going on with the construction of this whatsoever. And I think there was one here I think I might have this out of order. No, yeah, here was where Waj Ali and Jennifer Welch had a discussion here. They were talking about Donald Trump's ballroom and the fact that they were now trying to get $1 billion from the taxpayers. So let me throw this on the screen real quick. I thought this might be fun to dive into the first couple minutes of, where they're having a conversation, like I said, about the ballroom. This is, again, Jennifer Welch from the I Had It podcast. Ali having that discussion. Let's just see what they have to say on this. Play would be great. Play would be great. Why? I don't understand why. Like,
Trump.
I'm curious why. Like, all of the first clips that I play are okay. It's like things get hot. Like, I'm getting hot now, obviously, but like everything else around me gets hot too. For some reason, I don't know. But here again, like I said, Jennifer Welch, Waj Ali talking about the $1 billion ballroom and the fact that Republicans now want taxpayers to fund it.
Trump, we always know he's been lying about this ballroom, right? And at first it was going to be all of these donors, his friends were going to pay for it. And now he is proposing that $1 billion be spent by the American taxpayer. Pop this up. Senate Republicans, aka the biggest puss boys in America, have introduced a budget bill that would allocate.
Hold on, time out. I can't let that go. Thank you so much to PETA in the chat. PETA 3.14 for 50 gifted memberships. Holy shit. W. Peter in the chat. Thank you so much, brother. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That goes a long, long way in helping the channel. Really, really does. So thank you again. Big shout out to you. Very, very much appreciated. Like I said, W in the chat for Peter. Didn't want to let that one slide by. Appreciate you guys.
$1 billion in taxpayer funds to Trump's ballroom project. Waj.
I want to say ballroom in quotation marks, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but last time I checked, Jen, and I don't know much about interior design. That's your forte. I defer to you in pumps. But when was the last time someone needed $1 billion for a gaudy ballroom? You tell me.
Never. But again, that's where the military installation part comes in. That's where like the drone-proof roof and the fucking bulletproof windows come into play. And again, I'm not justifying the $1 billion price tag by any stretch of the imagination. But again, what is involved in that? Like he goes on to ask, I think that's the better question. I think we also understand that it's not just a ballroom, considering who was originally invested in this. I think that was quite clearly speculated on, with the origination of this reporting of this ballroom. Like the people that were investing in it and being announced by the Trump administration were, raising red flags. Let's just fucking put it mildly, right? So the question is how substantial, I should say, is the military conflict? What does it involve? Like, what is it specifically based on? Is it like, Donald Trump's liking? Is he like, what is actually happening with the military aspect of this ballroom that they're talking about?
You're the expert. Never, right?
Never.
Yeah, never. So I put ballroom in quotation marks because clearly something else is happening here. I always called it a ballroom/bunker. And I'm really curious what's happening underneath the ballroom and why all these tech companies are investing. Because for the first 400 million, first it was 200 million, then it was 300 million, then it was 400 million. And it's all these tech companies, all the Metas and all the NVIDIAs that are giving them money. So I'm like, that's very interesting. Why would they be giving money? Well, maybe because they want to court favor with this quid pro quo, completely compromised president, right? We'll give you stupid money for your ballroom. You give us contracts. You give us military industrial complex contracts. Palantir will build a surveillance state, right? NVIDIA with its chips, OpenAI, sure. But then more and more I think about it, I'm like, another person had a bunker. That person was Hitler, right? So I'm thinking, why would you need $1.4 billion for a ballroom? First and foremost, he's desecrated the People's House, the White House. These reeks are perfectly fine with it. Secondly, $400 million. And
I guess that's a point that nobody's really bringing up that I've heard so far is, does this mean that the private funding goes away? Or again, is this $1 billion on top of the already $400 million in private funding that they've already appropriated, they've already received from this, right? You know what I mean? So we're talking about it like it's $1 billion ballroom when it could be a $1.5 billion like military bunker fucking / ballroom site, which is again completely astronomical. And then in comparison and with the optics of what's happening in this country, again, not to mention the military budget that Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon have just put forward. Meanwhile, we're ripping people and healthcare from people all over this fucking country. We're canceling, cancer research for children. I mean, you name it, the list goes on as far as the negative impacts of this administration, the helpful policies that were put in place that this guy has removed, whether it be with Obama's name on it, whether it be with Biden's name on it. He's come in and he's fucking just come in and trounced all of that shit. whether it be women's rights. Again, it's now fucking mainstream to hate trans people. It's now again mainstream to hate people in marginalized communities, people of color, the LGBTQIA. Again, that's this party. So I don't understand what we're trying to expect, but it is a good point for him to bring up. Like I said, the fact that we don't know if this means on top of the private funding or in place of. Right? I don't think they've actually kind of come out with that justification or that distinction yet.
And now he goes back on his promise and says, hey, taxpayers, guess what? We have no money for SNAP. We had to kill USAID, which, by the way, has led to 500,000 deaths, mainly the killing of.
Like, how is it possible that, like, the first fucking chat that I look at all night says ball sack removers? Like, what? What's going on? What's happening down there in the Chizzy? What's going on in the old Chizzy chat? Like, the first time I look, I'm gonna look over. I'm gonna see what are people talking about, and that's the first thing I look at. You wonder why I don't follow along. You wonder why I don't follow the chat all the show. You know what I mean? The whole show. That's why. Come on, what are we doing?
Children all around the world, the most impoverished, marginalized kids. You can't afford oil. You can't afford groceries. We're going to give tax cuts to the billionaires, but we're going to take $1 trillion out of Medicaid. But guess what? Y'all are going to have to pay $25 billion for an unwinnable illegal war in Iran. And now I want $1 billion for my ball.
I'd be fucking careful. That's Waj Ali. And again, that's using the Trump administration's like calculations. The 25 billion is the lowest of lowball estimates, right? Is the most conservative, is the most Republican estimate you could probably come out with. Again, we're up over 70 billion by the Iran war tracker. Again, even some other experts have estimated that it is much more substantial than that. Again, once you add in the munitions we've expended, again, replenishing our stockpiles and what that's going to cost, the military installations that have been damaged, what it's going to cost to rebuild those. I mean, we're talking far more than $25 billion. We're talking about, times, I don't even know what, 10, 20 as far as that's concerned. Who knows at this point, when it's all said and done, because we don't know when it's all going to be said and done. That's the problem.
Jen, make it make sense, because it don't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I had Ruth Ben Ghiat.
I think that makes sense because, like I said, I think the Iran war tracker estimates at about $1 billion, right? And I've heard since the beginning of this, you can go back to these shows that we've been doing here, that we've talked about experts saying that it was anywhere from 1 to 3 to 4 and even up $1 billion a day that we had to spend on this war. And again, as these actions are like ramping up, as we get more warships, as we have more troops in there, like those costs fluctuate and they go up and they go, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't stay at the same level. Like this again, you have to figure in all of the munitions, everything else that they're not talking about. So again, the 25 billion that the Trump administration decided to say in front of Congress the other day was just wildly fucking inaccurate and stupid, I think, to kind of put a fine point on it on a price like that. Because as you heard, I'm blanking on whatever congressman it was that was asking the questions in response, but he's like, good, I look forward to seeing a detailed breakdown of that 25 billion and where you're getting that fucking estimation.
The leading scholar in the country on authoritarians, autocrats, fascists. And she said that autocrats get fixated with this stuff because they want a safe place, because they are jacked up on fear, and their number one goal is self-preservation. And so his ego took a huge hit when Joe Biden beat him. And
I just wonder, guys, and I'm just thinking about this, right? Like, we have one of these stories here today, this one here by CNN, and this has been widely reported by different outlets as well. This is Putin fears assassination attempt amid stalling war with Ukraine, right? So is it possible that some of the anxiety and the fear that Putin has from people inside of his own government, and also the Ukrainians trying to hunt his ass down as well, is kind of seeping into Donald Trump's calculus a little bit, right? We've talked about how, Putin is kind of avoiding his dashes, and we'll learn a little bit more in this CNN article, the CNN clip here that we'll take a look at. But is Donald Trump trying to build himself, a bunker that he can't be removed from? I know a lot of people have talked about this and speculated as to why he's putting so much thought and energy into this, into something that he's likely not going to get the ability to enjoy, right? depending on when this thing's going to be finished, a lot of reports are pretty distant in the future, right? Long after Donald Trump is supposed to be, removed from the White House, let's just say. So, it remains to be seen what he thinks he's going to get as far as use out of this ballroom. But, a lot of speculation as to why he's putting so much time, energy, and resources into this. And again, what we've looked at and what we've seen as far as January 6th, all of the attempts with the fake electors and, basically, just going in and storming the Capitol, trying to affect the election that way, trying to take every, violent and non-violent route he possibly can to stay in power. I don't fucking blame people for speculating and asking questions and being like, hey, what the fuck if this guy decides to lock himself in this goddamn thing and never leave? Like, we got ourselves an issue. But, obviously we'll keep our eye on not only that, but also where the funding comes from. But just another minute or two of this, and we'll dive on here too. What's this next one that I want to see here? Oh, yeah, this is a good one. The Good Liars in the Village. Stick around for that one because, again, you guys are going to I can laugh at that, right? You thought these people didn't exist anymore? Oh, they exist. Oh, they exist. But just another minute of this.
One came and picked him up, and he tried to throw a temper tantrum and sent all the rubes down to beat up cops, take a shit in the Capitol, etc. It didn't work. And they tried to hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence was rescued, taken off, and Trump was so humiliated. And so now he's thinking, I have to protect my ego, and I have to do everything in my power to prevent this sort of narcissistic injury from happening again. Thus, he is fixated, laser focused on the ballroom. Here's a clip of a montage of Trump pathologically lying about the cost of the ballroom. Play the clip.
Paying for it.
And again, we all know, excuse me, we're all familiar with Donald Trump's lies about the ballroom and the cost and stuff. So I won't subject you to that. But, she's absolutely right. And everybody else is absolutely right to speculate as to what his plan might be to kind of stay in power, what his use of this ballroom may be, considering, again, the military capabilities and the drone-proof roof and the fucking bulletproof windows and everything else and all the detail that they're trying to put into this. I don't blame anybody for speculating and kind of wanting to make sure that we know exactly what the fuck's going on here. And obviously the fact that we don't have to pay for this, through taxpayer funds, right? Give me a second here. My apologies. Back in action. My apologies. Sorry. But yeah, all right, let's go on to this one. Because like I said, you guys, like I've been talking about, this cult-like atmosphere is not going to go away to a 0 point, let's just say. It's not going to be at a point where you're never going to have these type of people that we're about to watch right now still in existence. That cult-like mentality is always going to be there for a certain percentage of the population, and we're just going to have to get used to that, as frustrating as that is. Like, the light bulb and the star that we always continue to talk about here, the light bulb is going to be brightest right before it burns out. The people that were surrounding Hitler in the bunker were the most fucking loyal, were the most sycophantic to Hitler and the National Socialism, movement that was going on. And if that didn't exist, and if Hitler didn't exist, then they have no reason to exist. Much like Magda and Joseph Goebbels took out their entire family because Hitler was gone. They might as well be gone too. And obviously everybody else that was in the bunker following Hitler to the ends of the earth as well. But these are the people. These are the fucking people. These are the people that are in, not that one. Sorry, my apologies, Jen and Waj. These are the people that are going to be in Hitler's bunker, right? So, metaphorically speaking, like to give a kind of representation here. These are going to the people, or would be the people that would be in Hitler's bunker. These are the people that no matter what the fuck happens will be in Donald Trump's ballroom in the second level in the military complex if they were invited, while they're trying to stave off the rest of the world that's now coming in fucking raining hell upon them, right? These are the people. And it's unfortunate, and it's kind of hard for people to kind of put this on one side of their brains and also see the reporting that, like, the GOP polling and independents is falling as far as support for Donald Trump. But this is like totally removed from that. Okay. These are the people that are the most brainwashed, are the people that, again, are the ones that you'll just be like, what the fuck? Right? That's what they'll leave you saying at every turn. So this is just a really quick as far as YouTube videos is concerned. About 12 minutes. We don't have to go through the whole thing, but you'll get a good, accurate representation of what I've been talking about as far as this is concerned right off the bat. This is the Good Liars. They put this out. The Village's Trump rally. This was put out about 20 hours ago by them. Shout out the Good Liars. Hopefully there's no problems with me fucking playing this. Fair use, free game, fucking about rallies and elections. How about that? You know what I mean? Shout out Good Lies again. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but again, here is their travels around the villages. The villages down in Florida has been highly reported on as far as a stronghold for these exact type of people. In recent years, we have seen pushback from a lot, I wouldn't say a lot, but from some of the residents, some of the citizens of the villages having kind of more blue leaning, more Democratic leaning type of, I don't know what you'd call them, parades, get-togethers. I don't fucking know. Anyways, here is the latest installment of the Villages Trump rally, and just listen to these people, right? You would think in 2026 there'd be nobody saying this. Like, this reminds me of, do you guys remember when I first started doing this shit and we would just go through all of the RSBN Trump rally? Like, I would sit on a Saturday or a Sunday, whenever the fuck it was, and I would watch 6 to 8 hours of these people all day long. And RSBN used to walk through the cow pen, everybody lined up before the rally, and they'd question them just like this. And then they'd fucking have 3 hours of coverage beforehand. And then there'd be 2 hours of speakers before Trump. And then Trump would speak for 2 hours. It'd be a whole thing. It'd be a whole thing. I haven't subjected you guys to that in a long time for your benefit and for my mental health. But this is kind of along the same lines as that. It kind of gives me like the chills a little bit, gives me like, like the throwback memories here. But check this shit out. This guy's already, just to kick it off, wearing a Trump 2028 hat, right? Again, just to give you a little sign of what we're looking at here.
It's Trump 2028. If Donald Trump runs in 2028, would that be against the Constitution?
I'm not sure, but I think
it would.
Whoa, where'd you go? Come back, Jack. Come back.
It would. It would. Yeah. All right. Thank you. We are here in the Villages in Florida right now, and the golf carts are lining up to see Donald Trump speak here today. You all excited to see Donald Trump? Sure, it says, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president. I have to ask you, Trump posted a meme where he depicted himself as Jesus Christ healing someone. What were your thoughts on that?
I haven't seen that meme, to be honest with you.
Okay. So this is the meme here. There's Trump.
He seems to be just playing for the wrong team on so many levels, right? Just right off the bat, the radar's going off, and I feel like he's playing for the wrong team on a lot of different levels. But the fact, what are the chances he's actually not heard about, not seen, hasn't been really, curious about what everybody was talking about, even if he hasn't seen the meme? Like, how many people were talking about Donald Trump being, portraying himself as Jesus? This guy's all into Jesus, but apparently that never made it through his FYP, never made it through his feed as far as being able to see Donald Trump's post there. As again, his shirt says, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president, Donald Trump on the American flag, and a vision, a graphic, an image of Jesus on the cross next to him.
Haven't seen that meme, to be honest with you.
Okay. So this is the meme here. There's Trump. What do you think Donald Trump looks like in this picture?
He looks like Donald Trump with a robe on to me.
And again, is he being willfully obtuse, or are they really this ignorant? Are they really this dumb? Or do they know what they're doing? Again, how many people know who this gentleman is before they walk up to him? I don't know. Again, he's pretty well known as far as the internet community is concerned. Much like Jordan Klepper was going to a lot of these rallies, and then obviously a lot of people started recognizing him, so it didn't have the same kind of flavor as it once did. Who knows? But obviously, are they putting on a show, or are they, again, this dumb and ignorant?
His hands are glowing there. It looks like he's healing that person with some powers. What's the shirt mean?
See, again, when they're caught, right? Like, yeah, you're right. Again, doctors don't have glowing hands. And why he would have glowing hands if he was just Donald Trump in a robe doesn't make sense either. But here's this fucking schmuck, right? I mean, tell me this guy doesn't have white Christian nationalist written all over him. I mean, all this guy's missing is a fucking white hood, right? Just a white pointy hood. He's got the mustache to say Heil, you know what? Right off the bat. And then if you didn't really understand what the mustache was telling you, right? If you didn't really understand what the sunglasses and the mustache and the haircut was telling you, then he's got the greetings from Alligator Alcatraz t-shirt, just to let you know what side of the, what side of history he's on here.
Just what it says. It's a joke. Greetings from Alligator Alcatraz.
All right. Explain to me your shirt.
My shirt represents the best president of the United States. He has put his life in danger to save ours. And that's why he's had three attention. I mean, they've tried to kill him 3 times. So to me, this is the least thing I can do is support him.
Get it out, lady.
And how has he saved your life?
How did he save my life?
Yeah,
Because
I'll hop in with you.
He's taking a ride with her.
So, what is Donald Trump's greatest accomplishment thus far?
so far, trying to keep our country safe.
Donald Trump, he's putting his face on the U.S. passports. What are your thoughts on that?
The more I see Trump, the happier I am.
So you're okay with him putting his face on government buildings, the Department of Justice?
I don't care what he does, as long as he continues to protect us and act in the goodwill of the American people.
Again, I don't care what he does is very much like, hey, he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Ave and wouldn't lose any supporters. Like these are the people that he was talking about, right? These are the same individuals. And again, like I say, the same idiots and sycophants that were surrounding Hitler in his last days in the bunker. They would be more than happy. This lady would be fucking more than happy to lay her life down next to this guy in the bunker at the last moment of the MAGA movement, right? She would be fucking, it would be the best thing. She would feel so goddamn lucky to have that and so fortunate to have that happen to her. Like these people, again, it's 2026, knowing what we know, all the things that we could list against Donald Trump, all the negative impacts, right? I mean, again, what these people are paying, and a lot of these people are wealthy, right? A lot of these people have a couple bucks in their bank account, so they're not so much worried about that or affected by that or impacted by that, which is why they're still, to a certain extent, afforded the ability or the luxury, I'll say, to have or take this position. But again, this is just like, it's I know.
See that and they say, oh, this is stuff that happens in authoritarian countries. This is stuff that happens in North Korea. There's a cult of personality with a leader putting their face all over everything, putting it on the currency, putting it on park passes. This is not a normal thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Donald Trump is not normal, and thank God.
I agree with that.
The election was stolen from him in 2020, so they should give him an extra term.
Explain that to me. Why he just got a second term here.
Right. But I'd like to have him get the third term.
Right. But like he already has another term right now. He won the election this time. Nobody's debating that.
Yeah.
So why would he get an extra one just because even if it was stolen, which it wasn't?
Yeah, he feels that 2 consecutive years for the terms.
Yeah. He feels he can stick he feels up his ass. We don't give a fuck how he feels. There's a constitution, ma'am, sir. So I don't know. I'm serious. I don't know. I'm not being rude. I don't know. But there's a constitution that we go by, and it doesn't say he feels what he can, whatever he feels he can do. That's not how it fucking works here. Okay? So it doesn't matter what he thinks happened or what you think happened. It's what happened, what you can prove, and what we know the Constitution says. So sorry, not fucking sorry. Person.
When he had 1 term, then they kind of took it away from him, the second one. Yeah. So they should give him the third.
No, that's just not how the fuck it works at all there, Chief. At all. Not even remotely how that works. And I know it's not like the place or time that we would expect to hear like logical responses or people that understood what the Constitution said or means. But I'm just saying, just in case you didn't know, what you feel and what Donald Trump's feel, like what his feelings say happened, we don't give a fuck. Facts don't care about your feelings. Aren't you guys that crew? Isn't that your statements?
But it doesn't really make sense then, because he would have had that term and then he wouldn't have been able to run again because of the Constitution. And now he's just getting an extra one, even though he won and he's currently president for the second term, and you're not allowed to run for a third term because of the Constitution.
Okay. I believe in Trump.
Okay.
They say, Whoop.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Fuck me. I say troop. I say troop. I'm telling you, these are the people. I'll just skip ahead a little bit. Like I said, I'm not going to subject you to all of this, but this is just kind of, we'll skip ahead here. Not to the commercial I won't, but afterwards. Here, check this out. This is the end of it.
That was very rude. So finish your thought.
Hold on. Check this spot out. Ready?
No, he's sharper than anybody.
Yeah.
There's still people out there that will say this to a camera with the microphone in their face that Donald Trump is the sharpest person out there. Sharp as a tack, people. The guy's amazing. Again, the propaganda by Fox works. How he never sleeps. He never eats. He's like Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un. He doesn't even take a shit. Doesn't even piss. He's working so hard, he just burns off all the energy. He burns off all the food and all the beverages that he has. Doesn't even have to relieve himself at any possible time, right? That's how hard working this guy is. And again, not taking into account the fact that you would never really want an 80-year-old man, any 80-year-old man working on zero fucking sleep. Right? Just probably not something you want. I mean, not to mention we don't want an 80-year-old guy in there to begin with if we can help it, right? If we can really, have somebody else that's maybe a little younger, let's just say. But, an 80-year-old guy that's never fucking sleeping, probably not good. Like, I'd never stick an 80-year-old guy that hasn't slept in 7 days behind, like the seat of a backhoe. You know what I mean? Yeah, put him in the steamroller. Yeah, let him run the big dig. Just not something I'd do. Just probably not good fucking teachings. But this lady in the background, look at this glare. Look at this glare. Look at that. That's a lady right there of privilege that says, I don't give a shit who this guy thinks he's talking to. I'm going to fucking butt in right here. I think she's flexing her muscles. Is she right now pulling up her sleeve, flexing her muscles? I think that's what grandma's doing in the background. Look at these pipes. She's saying, huh? You want to fuck with me, good liars? Look at her. Look at her. She chimes in, though. Check it out.
No.
You aren't concerned that he's fallen asleep in some cabinet meetings?
Oh no, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. It was I don't know. What do we call this lady here? It looks like she's like a stand-in for Dorothy on Golden Girls, possibly. Like that's kind of how she emulated her look after, but just never quite formulated the Dorothy look. Couldn't quite get there. Holy shit. Look at her. Look, this is the lady. I apologize to that last woman who apparently was just literally flexing on us on the way by. But this lady is going to show us her privilege right here because she can't take it. She just can't handle it. She can't possibly walk by this conversation and not chime in.
No. Trump is amazing. He's like so brilliant.
She interrupted you, so
I'm sorry. He just passed.
And again, I'll be careful on this one, and I'm not being mean, but in some ways, this kind of like is this giving off like I'm just saying a little bit of short bus vibes. Am I just saying like these are the people left at the end of the day? These are the people still left in holding the MAGA flags. The people that like let's just say aren't quite all there, right? Aren't working with the full deck, right? Couple fries short of a Happy Meal. Just saying, however you want to put it. Just that's the vibe that I'm getting, put in the nicest way, the most politically correct Bostonian way possible. Apparently, hopefully, I'm trying.
A very difficult test.
I know. I was just talking to her. I don't want to be rude, but
Biden could do what Trump's.
Yeah, but we were just having a conversation.
I know, but
so.
you're on the wrong side.
Okay. That was very rude. So finish your thought.
That lady's
please.
going in backwards. She's going in backwards. This lady's. I didn't hear any beeping. Did anybody just see that lady reverse behind the camera? I didn't hear any beeping.
But
Biden could do what Trump's.
Yeah, but we were just having a conversation.
I know, but
so.
you're on the wrong side.
Okay.
Sorry.
Was very rude. So finish your thought, please.
No, Donald Trump is as sharp as a tack. I mean, the
Sharp
man
as a tack, ladies and gentlemen. Sharp as a goddamn tack. That's exactly what I get every reading from Donald Trump when he when he speaks in front of a camera or a microphone. That's just exactly when every time he falls asleep at all of his committee meetings, right? Anytime he falls asleep when he's meeting with like little kids or maybe when who was speaking the other day? Was it Kelly Loeffler was speaking and he was snoozing on his feet the other day? That's what really tells me that he's all there. That's what really tells me he's sharp as a tack. Those things, and obviously the political position that we're in right now, and obviously the great things that he's done for this country, and how low gas prices are, obviously, and of course energy prices have been cut in half. The Ukraine war is over. What else has he done? All of those great things, all those great things that he's done.
Works 24/7. How can you ask for more than that?
Yeah.
No,
How can you ask for more than $5 a gallon gas? Who could ask for more than $130 a barrel for oil? Who could ask for the most unstable Middle East we've ever seen in our lifetimes, potentially? What more could you ask for? These people are nuts. Oh, somebody study these people. Somebody needs to fucking cut these people open and study from stem to stern, from fucking cranium to toe. They need to be studied so we can not have this happen again.
Worried at all. I'd be worried if it wasn't him in office.
Oh yeah.
Would you vote for him in 2028?
Ah.
You bet I would.
And no, it didn't slide by me that the guy in the background is wearing a Just the Tip t-shirt. You see this? You see this in the background? I mean, once again, the party of Grindr, the party of Benny Johnson, Lindsey Graham, right? We saw Huge Hewitt talk about, wanting a tag team partner. Meanwhile, this guy in the background with a Just the Tip, what looks to be a Jeff Bezos. Said Jeff Bezos on his t-shirt with a rocket in his hands that says Just the Tip. I don't know, just pointing that out. No, it didn't slide by me.
No, I'm not worried at all.
No.
I'd be worried if it wasn't him at all.
Yeah, I'd be worried if it wasn't Donald Trump. Yeah.
And would you vote for him in 2028?
You bet I
Yeah,
would.
I can't legally or constitutionally, but you bet your britches I would. I sure will. Fucking right, I ain't right. Be right. See right, I would. Fucking hell. And does she have the presidential seal on her hat? She does. It says Donald J. Trump with the presidential seal on her hat. Fucking hell.
What?
He said it looked like he thought he was a doctor. Do you see that?
He posted the meme?
He posted it, yeah.
Okay, well, if Donald Trump is calling himself a doctor, then I guess he's a doctor.
Usually
Yeah, fucking if he says it, of course it's true. What else do you need to know? What else do you need to know?
Right. Absolutely.
What specifically have Democrats done that you disagree with?
The corruption of this country.
Lady, do I got some news for you? I know. I don't know how much news penetrates the villages. I don't know, like, how often you change the channel from Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, and the rest of these fucking piece of shit channels, but boy, do I got news for you. You ever heard of gold sneakers? Huh? You ever heard of NFTs? You want any perfume or cologne? No? You know crypto at all? Just saying. What about a $10 billion lawsuit against the government that he's now presiding over? Just a few of the categories. How about a $620 million deal to a company that is financially backed by Don Jr. that it was issued to, by the Pentagon? How about that? No. How about the $24 million deal that was presented to an Eric Trump-backed company for drones issued by the Pentagon? No. You think they're probably the best at what they do as far as drones in this country now? Defense contracting, and we're going to look to Don Jr. and Eric, and that has nothing to do with nepotism. That has nothing to do with the position their father now holds as president, or the sycophants that he's now got in place at the Pentagon, the DOJ, the FBI, the Supreme Court, the House, the Senate. We could keep going, right? That has nothing to do with that at all. So again, if you're worried about corruption, boy, do we got news for you. Holy shit, you're going to want to sit down and take off that 70-76 hat. Really, you're going to want to do it. Maybe even remove that cardboard cutout of Donald Trump in the back of your, what is that? Is that even a golf cart? Looks like a single seat, like it's a double seater, but they're back to back. I don't know. It's strange.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That means that we are losing billions of our taxpayer dollars to them. They're pocketing from our money, as well as
who's they? Who's who's them? What's them?
The Democrats elected, or
yeah, a lot of the elected Democrats. Yes, of course.
We're losing billions to the elected Democrats. Again, you're going to really fucking have a heart attack. You're going to have a conniption when you find out about the corruption going on right now by this Trump regime. Lady boy, am I going to blow your socks off? But, you live in Florida. Chances are you're wearing sandals. So, boy, am I going to blow your flip-flops off.
Donald Trump has literally profited $4 billion since he became president. His companies.
He was a billionaire before he got into office.
I'm sorry. I'm going to hit the irrelevant fucking button. I'm going to hit the it doesn't fucking matter button. Right? A lot of these presidents had wealth, had accumulated some sort of wealth before they got into office. Doesn't mean they get to profit fucking exponentially from being at the president of the United States. That's not how it works. And again, it's very much up for debate. Again, how substantial or liquid or relevant or even based in reality some of Donald Trump's net worth was prior to becoming president, prior to getting into political office. But even past then, the amount of corruption we've seen from this government is far and away more than anything else that we've seen in certainly my lifetime, and I'm sure people can attest to it being in their lifetimes in the chat, regardless of how old you are that's watching right now. Because again, the billions and billions of dollars, as again people point back to how Jimmy Carter
had to give up ownership of his fucking peanut farm. His fucking peanut farm here. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? And again, as I continue to point out, the one thing that Donald Trump seemed to learn in his first administration is who he needed to put in what positions to make sure that he could profit the most, so that he could scam and fraud the people the most in this second term, knowing that this is going to be his last shot at the pie, right? So that's how he knows he had to put Pete Hegseth. He had to get the fucking Marco Rubios and the rest of these sycophants in these positions, the Tulsi Gabbards and all these assholes that now fucking preside over these powerful and once respected agencies. No longer, I'll add. These are the people that he knew he had to put in place to make sure that he could rob, cheat, steal, pillage, and plunder as much as he fucking possibly could, and nobody was going to say boo to him. Or again, even if people did find out, there would be no, there would be no route to prosecute. There would be no route for accountability, because his sycophants would do all the bidding, whether it was Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or Pete Hegseth, would do whatever they needed to do to obfuscate, defend, make it legitimate, whether it's Scott Bessent and the $10 billion bullshit lawsuit that he's got, trying to make that seem legitimate, right? That's why they're in the place that they're in right now, to give it an air of legitimacy, to make sure that he could evade the accountability that he has when he knows he's going to come in and rob the fucking people blind. So it doesn't matter what he was worth by any stretch of the imagination before he got into office. It's his ability and the willingness he has for him and his family to utilize his proximity of power, or not his proximity of power, his power and others' proximity to his power, to benefit off of, again, foreign entities, fucking corrupt dealings, all of the other shit that we've mentioned so far. That's, again, far and away more than anything she's even, brought up as far as, or could bring up as far as like Democrats being corrupt. Way, way worse.
And of course, he's going to continue to make money.
But that is a huge jump in his personal wealth. $4 billion. That doesn't seem like that's corrupt.
You could really blow her away right now with the emoluments clause, trying to have her explain that. Right, I'm sure she wouldn't be able to. Throw that one very far. Let's just say.
Donald Trump profiting $4 billion.
Absolutely not. He's well invested. I mean, be for real.
His company's doing business with foreign nations. You don't think that's a little corrupt?
Separated himself. Anything going on with the Trump organization is taken care of by other people right now.
Bull fucking shit. Bullshit on a stick, right? Okay, I don't care what this lady's trying to get across, and I know these are all lunatics, and I'm taking it a little bit too literally. I'm sure we all know by now how ridiculous and nonsensical that statement is, knowing the corruption and shit. But again, just to show you that these people still exist and are still out there. That's if that doesn't give you a clear representation of the people that were going to be, like I continue to say, left at Hitler's side at the end of the run. Those are the people that we just looked at right there, that again going to be there until the very end of this, and even beyond. When Donald Trump takes his very last breath on this earth because of natural causes, these people are going to be the ones to cry and mourn like we're in North Korea, right? Again, it sounds far-fetched, it sounds hyperbolic, but I guarantee you, I'm saying it now, I guarantee you that when that day comes, hopefully sooner rather than later, natural causes. But when that day comes, I'm saying it fucking right now, that we are going to have North Korea style fucking moments of what do you call them? Vigils of like different fucking masses and eulogies in the villages and places down in the fucking deep South, where they're going to have people crying all over their fucking shirts and their tank tops and their wife beaters because of the death of this fucking piece of shit. I'm calling it now. Calling it now, motherfuckers. Calling it now. All right, let's dive into, speaking of motherfuckers, let's dive into a little bit of this clip, because, again, this is about the 10th or 15th time. I'm going to say probably, I'm going to give him, I'll give him a little leeway. I'll say it's about the 10th time that he has now declared victory as far as Donald Trump and the Iran war. Here's Benny Johnson once again. Trump just ended the Iran war. Victory. Victory has been achieved. So again, not trying to manipulate the markets. Again, not trying to get this like propaganda out there that we're just very nearly close to, possibly, if maybe right around the corner, just about there, possibly a deal, some negotiations, even though the talking points couldn't be further away at this point. And the other side says we've not even clearly negotiated directly in quite some time. Anyway, don't pay attention to any of those points. But Benny Johnson here wants you to believe that victory has been achieved, like fucking a Mortal Kombat flawless victory has just been achieved. Let's see what he's got to say here.
This week, I got in a little trouble by declaring that Trump had called for World War III in Iran. And what I mean by that.
Ooh, Benny got a memo. Benny got a memo, or Benny got a phone call. You can. There's no other way that Benny Johnson would start off a video saying that he got in trouble for saying that Trump started World War III, unless he got a phone call. I don't know if it was Stephen Miller, Stephen Chung, Caroline Levitt. Somebody made a phone call. So that's fucking Benny Johnson backtracking on that one right there. Basically, what I meant to say was, he's probably going to do a Donald Trump. What I really meant by Donald Trump started World War III was that he was just like showing his bravado and how alpha of a man that he was, right? That's how he's going to try to twist this somehow, but I guarantee it. But sounds like Benny got a phone call.
Here this week, I got in a little trouble by declaring that Trump had called for World War III in Iran.
Hey, who?
And what I mean by that
Who
is
got
that
you in
President
trouble?
Trump had called for Iran to be blown off the face of the earth because they were firing on commercial ships from foreign countries like Japan.
He doesn't say though. Who is this call? Who gave you the memo? Why were you in trouble? Was it the comments? Was it your followers? Or was it, again, somebody a little bit higher up that decided to make a phone call and say, hey, stop making those videos if you're doing propaganda for us? I don't know what Stephen Chung sounds like, but I assume it's something like that. Got to be. He's just a big slob of a person. So whatever a big slob of a person sounds like, that's what I picture he sounds like.
Japan and South Korea. Those are American allies, and President Trump called on those countries to join the war against Iran, thus making it a world war.
And here's again, Benny Johnson being so cucked to the regime that he has to go on and explain how Donald Trump starting World War III was a good thing. How he meant it in a good way. It wasn't a bad thing, really, for the U.S. president to start World War III. I meant it in like a big, strong, dick swinging way, right? Like a big fucking alpha man, burly, cutting down a tree type of way. That's how I meant the World War III. So again, don't get mad at me. Sorry that I had to retract my statements because of the memo that I got and the phone call that I got from the White House. But, this is the best I could do.
Was not happy about the ceasefire being violated, but now we understand what that entire play was, a show of strength in order to get us where we are today.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just I have a huge hog and I'm going to show it. That's what it was by Donald Trump. That's exactly. It's just I know that I'm the alpha guy in the situation, and I know I worded it like he started World War III, but what I meant it is like a really good way. It was beneficial. It was positive.
Very good place. I want Donald Trump to be victorious in Iran. Polling shows that the vast majority of Americans, including Democrats, independents, and of course, 91% of Republicans believe we've already won the war in Iran. So now it's time to wrap this thing up and get back to focusing on.
War's over. What are we still doing there? Why do we still have ships in the region? Why are we still blockading a blockade that's been blockaded since the blockade was a blockade, right? I mean, fuck. Why are we still risking the lives of the military servicemen and women in the area still? Like, this war's over. Like, again, we still have to agree on something that's not agreed upon yet. And there's 14 points, a lot of which are like huge points of contention that we're still very far apart on those things. And there's like really no sign that a deal is anywhere near or imminent whatsoever. And it's probably more likely, again, that we see, drones and missile launches and bombs being dropped than any sort of negotiations or agreements come to, or even if we do come to some negotiations or agreement, we're going to inevitably give Iran more power on the geopolitical stage than they once had before we engaged in this war with Benjamin Netanyahu, Jared Kushner, in order to get Donald Trump's names out of the headlines in association with the Epstein files, and obviously Benjamin Netanyahu to keep his hold on power and to stay out of his corruption trials and not to face accountability for his warrant on the international stage for being a war criminal. None of that stuff, but just a little bit of kind of the background in there, but none of that was actually happening. None of that.
Things that win you electoral victories here at home, which is the only country I really care about, America. I want America to win, and the way you win is gas prices, grocery prices.
Is the gaslight to lie and to propagandize the people. Just lie about everything and defend all of what the regime does, right? We want small government, and we hate the government telling you what to do, but I'm also going to be cucked to this government, And I'm going to defend everything this government does. And I want it to have the broadest reach. And I want it to reach into every aspect of life that every Democrat, right? I want it to make it, the Democrats' life a living hell, but small government for Republicans. We don't want it to invade into any of our life, right? We don't want you creeping into any aspect of our lives. But again, sick it after the Democrats. Weaponize that Department of Justice, weaponize the FBI as much as you possibly can, but not against the Republicans. Not against the Republicans. And that's basically the mantra by Benny Johnson. But that's, like I said, Benny Johnson's about, I'm going to say, 10th, 12th, 13th time there making a video that Donald Trump has somehow, achieved victory in the war in Iran. Meanwhile, all of us are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Doesn't seem like any victory's been achieved. Basically, you can't even get past the first phase, right? We can't even get past Operation Epstein Fury that's supposedly ended at this point. You didn't obtain any of those goals. None of those goals were achieved, not militarily, not politically, not nothingly were those fucking, goals achieved, not even remotely. So the fact that Marco Rubio stood on the stage the other day and was like, well, we obtained all those goals. I mean, fucking that part of the mission's over. Like, what? The fuck are you talking about? What did we miss? What did we miss? Because right now you still get the blockade of the blockade of the blockade in place, right? Right. Well, still not like the shit's still not flowing through the strait, right? We still have to, give respect to Iran as far as their ability to control that still. So what are we talking about again? But anyway, speaking of being scared on the international stage, that brings us to this aspect, this moment in time in the broadcast where I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what's going on here, because, anytime that we can hear Vladimir Putin's in fear for his life, that fears there may be some assassination or coup attempts, right? Let's be clear. He's looking at it from both sides here. He's not just looking one way. It's not like he's just looking over his shoulder. He's also going to look in the sky as well, because there's fucking drones that I'm sure got his name all over them. So I'm just saying. So here's a little bit of the report from Putin security tightened amid assassination and coup fears. This is Putin fears it's an assassination attempt amid stalling war with Ukraine. A little report here from CNN. I think it's Aaron Burnett, if I'm not mistaken, just detailing a little bit of this. And as I typically say, going into these types of stories, Slava Ukraine. Heroyam Slava, and it's always good to see this motherfucker in fear for his life. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you agree. If you don't, hit that thumbs down and I don't know, risk your own life in the chat by telling us why you disagree with anything that we're saying as far as this part of the show is concerned. I will say, but here we go. Let's listen to a couple minutes of this to see how Putin's fearing for his life and what changes have been made.
It is a rare, pointed insight into one of the starkest secrets in Russia. President Vladimir Putin's security protocols. And a detailed intelligence report given to CNN by a source close to a European intelligence agency, portrays, predictably, a Kremlin in deep crisis. Cooks, bodyguards, and photographers working with Putin must have surveillance.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. Sorry to stop it, but I just saw a couple of Venmos come through. Thank you so much to Thomas in Victoria. Very much appreciate you guys. And thank you so much to Geneva again. And I'm sure there's more to go through, but I just saw those ones pop up right in front of me. So thank you guys so much that are utilizing the Venmo QR code up there in the top of the screen there. Again, all I ask for is $1 or $2, nothing substantial, anything that fits into your financial capabilities. If you could scrounge up some change between those cushions of the couch, again, before JD Vance gets them, of course, and you can afford to send a few of those into the show, then, I very much appreciate it. It helps keep the independent channels like this going. Again, we don't hide anything behind a paywall. There's no content that you have to come out of pocket to see. We don't charge for the Substack or anything like that. Basically everything is done for us, by us, and with us here. There's no ads, financial backers, or sponsors of the show. So if you find some benefit, you find some value, some information, if you love the chat and the people in it, much like I do, and you're in the position to contribute without taking away from any other aspect of your life, please think about doing so. You can sign up at patreon.com/Boston Brian, get you included in all of the Zooms we have every Monday night related to the levels of the Patreon. You can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me for less than a gallon of gas. Multiple ways. You can obviously just give a super sticker or a super chat over there in the chat too. So thank you guys to everybody sending a Venmo again up here in the corner. And thank you to everybody, contributing in the chat as well. And thank you so much to Allie. I always forget to say this because Allie's been very nice and she's been sending me cash apps and PayPals and stuff which again, I do have QR codes for, but I tend to forget about them because a lot of people said that they didn't utilize those platforms. But there are other ones up here. So like now it's up there is the PayPal in case you have PayPal. But thank you so much to Allie. I just want to say, because there's been a few times recently where you've sent in a contribution and I just totally missed that. And I feel really badly about having done that, because anybody that contributes to the channel deserves to be recognized and appreciated. And like I said, I feel really badly that I didn't see that for a couple shows. So thank you again to everybody. Make sure you at least click that like button, throw a chat in the old in the chat, and then leave a comment afterwards when it's posted. Throw an emoji in there. All the good things that help tell the algorithm that you like what you're watching and that other people should be watching too. So appreciate you guys. Let's get to 20K.
Systems installed in their homes, it says. Putin has stopped
that was a good
visiting
part.
military.
I want to go back to that one because this is a pretty freaky aspect of this whole thing. Like anybody, I think it says, with access to Vladimir Putin or is around his security team has to have security cameras installed in their residence. So not in Putin's residence, right? They're not like, they don't need security cameras installed, and I'm sure they're there, obviously, but that's not what they're referencing here. They're not what they're referring to is the security cameras in their own private residence, so that they can be watched or monitored 24/7, I'm assuming, right? I mean, that's how paranoid Putin has become, if that gives you any kind of indication as to what's going on. Listen to what he says here again.
ISIS. Cooks, bodyguards, and photographers working with Putin must have surveillance systems installed in their homes, it says.
Even the cooks, the bodyguards, the security, I'm talking like, I mean, to have the security cameras in your personal residence, your private residence, like I can see being on camera in Putin's house or Putin's Dasha or again in the Kremlin, like that. I can see that making sense. Obviously, it's an authoritarian regime, one that's definitely utilizing AI and social media and different technology to keep tabs on its citizens. So that wouldn't surprise me. But the fact that like you have to have cameras installed to watch you in your daily life when you're not on duty, like to make sure that you're not planning something, that you don't have people coming to your house that shouldn't be coming to your house. Like that shows a whole nother level of paranoia, I think. I'm going to let this play just for a minute. I'm going to grab another drink, but I mean, listen to the bullshit that Putin seems to be going through, all the steps that he seems to take. And it goes to show somebody that's really, really paranoid. And it's not just like speculation or things that are being reported by outsiders that are like looking at like little bits and pieces. Like this seems to be a serious worry, a serious fear for Putin, again, from assassination and also coup attempts. So he's looking both directions, which is again making him even more fearful. But check this out.
Putin has stopped visiting military sites this year entirely, it says, in contrast to last year, often spending time in fortified bunkers and keeping clear of some of his main lavish residences like Valdai. A tactic aided by many of his appearances, and he is in the media a lot, being pre-recorded. His staff cannot use smartphones or public transport, the report adds. Visitors must be searched twice.
Putin increasingly isolated. These fears grow. I mean, just how paranoid is he right now? What are you learning?
Well, I think you don't really have to look very far.
Again, did I hear that correctly? Did they say no cell phones and no public transportation? Let me go back real quick. No cell phones at all? No public transportation? Does that show, again, like the level of paranoia here, the level of security that he's trying to make people go through that have any proximity to him? Listen to this.
Many of his appearances, and he is in the media a lot, being pre-recorded. His staff cannot use smartphones or public transport, the report adds. Visitors must be searched twice.
Putin.
Again, the search twice thing, yada, 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 whatever. If you're going into the Kremlin, you're going anywhere near Putin, I guess that makes sense, right? I mean, we do that here, obviously. But the fact that, like, the rest of these things are taking place, like you can't have a smartphone, you can't take public transportation, you're fucking videoed the second you get into your home, you're probably watched from the time you leave the Kremlin or wherever you're working or whatever you do for Vladimir Putin, right? From the time that you leave that place, from the time that you get home, you're being watched, right, by his security service anyway. So it's just like, if that doesn't show a little bit of the paranoia of Vladimir Putin right now, I'm not sure what's going to get that point across. But again, I just want to see what the person that she's interviewing has to say, and then we'll dive onto this next clip, which is, I believe, a military show. Yeah, this is what we didn't get to this morning, this military show. It's Russia just lost this war. And again, let's reel it back in, military show. Let's reel it back in. But Ukraine goes on the all-out offensive. So I just wanted to see what details that has for us. But again, in just to see what this guy has to say, what input he's got to talk about as far as the assassination attempts or coup fears. Let's talk about it. Thank you, Dame. Appreciate you. I see you over there on Venmo. I see you for the swedge. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Very much appreciated. Shout out to you guys. Very, very generous tonight. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for making this show grow. Thank you for keeping it going. You guys have been and continue to be the best chat on social media. I know I say it. I know it sounds hyperbolic, but I really do mean it. You guys mean the world to me, and I respect you and love you all the more for it. So let's go.
Increasingly isolated, these fears grow. I mean, just how paranoid is he right now? What are you learning?
Well, I think you don't really have to look very far. Just look at the plans for the Victory Day parade celebrating the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany in World War II for May 9th on Saturday. It's going to be the first time the Russian Defense Ministry announced.
How do you go on CNN and have a shit microphone, right? I mean, come on. We're going on CNN to talk about fucking Putin. You're the Moscow bureau chief for the Financial Times, and we can't get this guy a microphone, huh? Like, it doesn't even sound like his headset's working. The earbuds are working at this point. Jesus. And I know I'm not one to talk as far as, getting technology to work correctly, but damn it. At least I'm not on CNN doing the same shit. I think if I was going to be on CNN, I'd make sure the shit was working. You know what I mean? Just saying.
Middle of the night last week trying to bury the news. In 20 years, they've done it without the usual tanks and armored vehicles and ballistic missiles. They usually trundle past Putin on Red Square because they're worried about Ukrainian drone strikes. Ukraine has really improved its ability to.
Yeah, and I can't listen to that. That just sounds like absolute shit. But what he's talking about is the Victory Day parade, the May Day parade in Russia, and how that's going to have to be downsized, how they've already started removing some of the stanchions and seating in the area. They've already had to put up some of the drone netting. There's been lots of reports as far as the May Day, the Victory Day parade is concerned, and the problems now being faced by Russia. But all right, let's throw this on the screen. Let's see. What time is it? 10:23? Shit. I always fucking run out of time. I'm always running out of time. God damn it. All right. So what I'm going to do before I start this, I'm going to close out all the rest of these because I don't like how it's kind of glitching a little bit. I apologize if it's been glitching. I'm just going to close out a bunch of these tabs and then we'll get into this military show video. Hit that like button in the meantime while you're talking to yourselves. All right, let's jump into it now. This should be all right. All right, so this is the military show. Again, reel it back in, military show. Love your enthusiasm, love your passion. But again, let's stay grounded in reality here. This says Russia just lost this war. They didn't just lose this war. Ukraine goes on the all-out offensive. So again, barring the ridiculously kind of over-the-top titles that they give these sometimes, they do typically have some good insights and information in the video. So don't just judge it based off of the title. Sometimes I always say that we got to reel them back in. I try to do that, kind of as a favor to the show. Just like, all right, let's stay grounded. Let's not get ahead of our skis here. All right, let's go. This is, like I said, Ukraine goes on the all-out offensive. Let's see if there's any information or insight we can get from this one.
Putin's spring offensive isn't going to plan, and that is putting it mildly. What is supposed to be Russia's final push to take the Donbass has morphed into something very different. Ukraine is taking everything back. This is de-Russification in action, and it's not Russia that is making the final.
Ooh, I like that. I'm not saying I haven't heard that before, but that, the de-Russification, right? I mean, we know that's probably a play on the fact that Russia, during the early stages of this full-scale invasion, was talking about the denazification of Ukraine and how that was kind of one of their main objectives and reasons for doing whatever the fuck they, the war that they enacted there. But this is the de-Russification, which again is kind of a good play on the bullshit propaganda that was spreading in, again, the early days of this war by Russia.
Push, it's Ukraine. The total liberation of the Ukrainian nation has begun, and Putin isn't ready for the all-out offensive that is coming his way. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Early March saw the beginning of Russia's grand offensive, which Putin designed specifically to finally topple the last remaining standout settlements in Luhansk and, more importantly, cripple the Donetsk fortress belt that stands in the way of Russia and complete control of the Donbass. Russia built up 10.
Yeah, they've been really making a push, and I think we'll hear a little bit more about this possibly in the next video. if we make it to it. That is, if I give us enough time. But the Russians are steadily trying to make a push into Konstantinivka there to start getting a foothold into that belt that we've been describing, that Ukraine is hoping to utilize for not only its fortification but also to kind of run the Russians through the meat grinder and kind of block them from getting to the open space, the open territory that is past that kind of belt that we've been describing. But let's just see here. I'll keep this one going.
Tens of thousands of soldiers, Putin claimed to have reserves, and all of the Russian propaganda pointed to the inevitable fall of one of the most important Ukrainian regions. If you listen to Putin, you'd think the collapse of the Donbass was inevitable. It isn't. Despite Putin's bluster, Russia's spring offensive has been an unmitigated disaster that is achieving the precise opposite of what it was designed to do. It isn't Russia that is gaining territory. It's Ukraine liberating vast swathes of land. The April numbers are in, and they look terrible for Putin. April 2026 has seen Russia record its first net territorial loss since August 2024. Those with long memories will recall that August 2024 was when Ukraine launched its blistering counteroffensive into Russia's Kursk region, through which it took control of over 1,000 square kilometers, or around 386.
It's crazy to think how long ago that was already. Right? Doesn't seem like all that long ago we were talking about, the
square miles of Russia.
Kursk.
What we're seeing now isn't quite as dramatic in terms of the numbers of where Ukraine is attacking, but it is crucial. Why? Well, rather than taking control of Russian territory, Ukraine is liberating its own, and it's doing it to an impressive degree. In April, Ukraine outpaced Russia to the tune of 116 square kilometers, or 44.7 square miles of territory. That's according to the Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, which highlights how Russia's spring offensive has devolved into Putin's forces dealing with a host of negative battlefield dynamics that are causing them to spiral. This hasn't come out of nowhere. March wasn't much better for the Russians. The month the spring offensive started saw Russia achieve close to zero net gains across 31 days of fighting. The ISW reports that Russia only managed to take 23 square kilometers, or 8.9 square miles, of Ukraine in March. And it seems likely that it has lost...
While losing how many troops, how much equipment, right, to take that? What was it? What did it say? 8.9 square miles?
All of that territory and more in April. What we're seeing here is a complete turnaround in operational tempo that is happening at the worst possible time for Putin. Contrast today's figures to those from 2025. According to the Kyiv Post, Russia's forces were capturing about 12.9 square kilometers, or around 5 square miles, of Ukraine every day in March 2025. So 2 days of fighting in March 2025 would have given Russia more territory than an entire month of fighting during March 2026.
Yeah, I mean, there's a statistic right there. There's some data to show, that the Ukrainians are still having a huge effect, a huge impact, and still have, the overwhelming ability, as it seems, to kind of hold back the Russian offensive, to not only hold them back, but to push them back, to make them pay for every fucking square inch very dearly. As he talked about, I think in March of 2025, 2 days of fighting from the Russians would have kind of gained them more territory than they got all of March of 2026. Just kind of showing you how much this has progressed and kind of how effective the Ukrainians have been over, the last few years at turning the tide in this war.
That's not a good look for Putin. And now we see Russia achieving a net territorial loss for April. It's clear that momentum is shifting. De-Russification of Ukraine is now happening at a rate of about 3.87 square kilometers, or 1.5 square miles, every single day, the Kyiv Post reports. How on earth has this happened? The spring was supposed to be the start of the inevitable.
And this is kind of like, I know this is coming from the Ukrainian side for the most part, but there's also the Russian mill bloggers that are out there that are really starting to get frustrated. We've seen a lot more of the videos coming from people in Crimea, Russians in Crimea, crying about obviously the environmental impacts of the oil fields, the oil plants, the oil infrastructure that was hit as well. But a lot of people now recognizing that this is bad. This is not good, and this doesn't likely have the ability to have the positive outcome, the positive victory that needs to be achieved by the Russians. So a lot of mill bloggers are talking about how it's going very poorly for people on the front lines, and that it's very unlikely that we're ever going to obtain or achieve these goals, which is something that you're not likely to hear. You didn't always see on these different websites and the different platforms that the mill bloggers post on. But now it's more and more likely that you're going to run into somebody that's pissed off, frustrated at the lack of movement, the lack of territory gained, the amount of fucking Russians that have been killed in this, the whole 9 yards, the amount of money that's been spent, the detriment to the economy, all of it they're talking about at this point.
Russian victory. What is happening right now has caught everybody off guard, barring Ukraine, which had been preparing for this all along. A combination of Ukrainian brilliance and Russian incompetence has led to Ukraine's startling results, and we'll be digging into both. But first, there's one more thing to cover: Russia's losses. They are staggering. We already have the numbers for Russia's catastrophic march. They were record-breaking, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky revealed. Putin churned through 35,351 of his soldiers to make practically no gains in March, which was over 350.
Make practically no gains. Like, that's the real kick in the dick right there. Like, that's the kick in the teeth. Not so much the 35,000, over 35,000 removed from the battlefield in one way or another, let's just say, in March, but the fact that they didn't gain anything, nothing to show for it, right? And equipment lost, on top of that, on top of that casualty report, is just goes to show you the the meat grinder that they're now facing on the front lines. It's pretty substantial.
Troops more than the 35,000 casualties suffered in December 2025, which previously held Russia's grimmest Ukraine war record.
Jesus Christ. So 70,000 in just the 2 months there they pulled up with the most. I think one was, like they just said, 35,000, and then the most recent was a little over 35,000. So a little over 70,000 removed in just 2 months of fighting Russian troops from the battlefield. And just to show you how substantial and how effective the Ukrainian military is and continues to be.
The numbers aren't in for April yet. Ukraine is still tabulating them. But if April 29th is anything to go by, we're going to see something similar to go alongside Russia's scoring its first net territorial loss since 2024. On April 29th, Russia lost 1,470 of its soldiers, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense reports. Multiply that number by 30 and you get a monthly total of 44,100. It's just getting worse for Putin. His spring offensive has practically collapsed before it managed to get off the ground, and Ukraine is taking advantage. According to the Kyiv Post, March saw Ukraine liberate nearly 50 square kilometers or 20 square miles of its territory. Gains in February and late January amounted to 480 square kilometers or 185 square miles. Add the net gain for April, and it's clear that Ukraine is in the ascendancy. And this isn't Ukraine taking back empty farmland or pointless territory. The Ukrainian counterpush is measured, precise, and it targets key locations that disrupt Russian logistics and maneuvers all across the front. Ukraine's April 2026 result wasn't a one-off. It's part of a pattern that has defined the entire year. Russia boasts, but it's Ukraine that is making all of the positive battlefield moves. Ukraine is on an all-out offensive that is destroying every plan that Putin made for 2026. But we come back to the question of how this is happening. Russian propaganda.
And I'll go on here because this is depicting, their successes both in the occupied territories. But I want to see here because there's a video here by Preston Stewart kind of detailing the efficacy of the Flamingo missiles, Ukraine's Flamingo missiles hitting deep inside of Russia as well. So we'll just end on this one. But some good insight. That's why I don't understand why they go so crazy with the titles and the headlines. Like, they give good video, they make good videos, they give good information, right? Good details about what's happening on the front. Good descriptors of the data coming from that. They tell everybody what their sources are. It's just, I don't know, they go a little too far on the fucking thumbnails, on the titles sometimes. But Preston Stewart doesn't. He's always right on point. Ukraine's Flamingo missile just struck deep inside of Russia. And again, we'll end on this one, just kind of looking at some of the recent successes here by the Ukrainians, not only inside of, occupied territories, but also deep inside of Russia, as we'll hear now from Preston. So appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, last video tonight, we'll take a look at a couple minutes of this, and then I'll get you guys out of here. We'll thank everybody that, shot over a donation on Venmo. And then as we do, we'll come over here to the YouTube side of things and thank everybody that was kind enough to send in a super sticker, super chat, or hit their milestone as a member. So stick around to the end so you guys can get your appreciation, the W's in the chat for you guys as always. And again, this is Preston Stewart going to be here on the show, speaking to us, having a good conversation on the 13th. So make sure you guys mark that down in your calendars, and let's just see what he's got to say. Again, the title of this is Ukraine's Flamingo missile just struck deep inside of Russia. Let's go.
So Russian mill blogger Alexander Kotz has had enough. He said it's time to take the gloves off and finally win this war. Quote, maybe it's time to stop waging war according to the chivalrous code and start hitting the ruling elite of Ukraine. But here's the problem. Ukraine has the initiative on the battlefield right now, not Russia. Russia is constantly adapting, trying to react and respond to new Ukrainian innovations and tactics that are causing damage not just in the war zone, but deep inside of Russian territory itself. In fact, last night, we got a new Ukrainian launch of their FP-5 Flamingo cruise missiles that impacted 1,500 kilometers inside of Russian territory. That is where the war sits 4 years in. Now, turning to a Russian assessment of this situation and how they're trying to deal with it right now, Rybar said, quote, the armed forces of Ukraine continue to overload all types of air defense systems.
And again, as you guys will recall, we just talked about the other day about a pretty substantial strike inside of Russia. I believe it was the PERM, PERM facility inside of Russia that was some 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers beyond the front lines inside of Russia, in which they were able to, again, get around the air defenses if there was any installed in to begin with. And they were obviously effective in their strikes on the PERM facility as well, much like the TUAPS facility that we've been talking about. But obviously that's not as deep inside of Russian occupied territory. And again, in the TUAPS facility, the Ukrainians have the ability to basically utilize the Black Sea, utilize the drones flying over the sea for the majority of the time. So it makes it that much more difficult for the Russians to defend against it. But this is on top of the other one. So this isn't like the same one being talked about and reported on. This is another different strike, 1,500 kilometers inside of Russian territory, showing you the efficacy, showing you the abilities that the Ukrainians still have. And again, the lack of ability that Russia has to, again, defend against all of these places. Russia being such a huge fucking place, obviously, they just don't have the resources necessary, the resources in place to be able to station the necessary air defenses, the necessary troops around all of these oil infrastructure, these oil facilities, all of the bases, all of the military structures that they need. They just don't have the capabilities to do it. And Ukraine is, again, finding their ways around the air defenses and showing that they have the ability to cause damage well beyond the front lines and deep inside of Russia.
Russian armed forces, which allows them to achieve significant goals, as happened again this week in TUAPS. A single oil refinery or other factory does not create critical damage to the domestic economy, but the systematic work of the enemy is making itself felt. The door is open. All right,
So it says here, the TUAPS oil refinery, after modernization, it has a capacity of up to 12 million tons of oil per year, which is about 4.4% of Russia's total refining capacity. Again, showing you how substantial these places are, and again, the continuation of Russia's oil economy. And again, what a huge impact it has on continuously striking these plants. So good on Ukraine for doing this. And again, the Russians had the ability to never have this happen. So again, I have lack of empathy and compassion for the people in the surrounding areas, unfortunately.
About this during the coverage of the TUAPS strikes a couple days ago, the Russian citizens in these areas are getting frustrated. They're saying, does Moscow just not care about us? Why were more air defense?
Yes, that's the answer. That's the answer. Yes, you had it. You fucking hit the nail on the head the first time. They do not give a fuck about you.
Assets not surged into this location. How on earth are these major refineries not protected? And in TUAPS, what we saw was at least three, maybe four Ukrainian strikes in the course of a month.
It was four. It was four separate Ukrainian strikes, if not more, again, since the time of reporting on the last one. But it was definitely four separate strikes that I know of on the TUAPS facility in those couple weeks to keep that fire burning, let's just say. And we played that on the show as well.
Where these massive fires would rage. And then as soon as Russia got them under control, about 3-4 hours later, the Ukrainian unmanned systems forces would launch another wave of drone attacks, and a lot of them got through, or at least enough to cause significant damage. And we are seeing that play out over and again all across Russia. The reason for that is that over the course of the last few years, Ukraine has opened the air defense corridors throughout the country. We just got more footage a couple days ago of the Ukrainian unmanned systems forces showing what they did in terms of the elimination of Russian air defense during the month of April, where they said they took out 38 Russian air defense systems, 25 anti-aircraft missile systems, and 13 radar and electronic warfare systems. Throughout this footage, they say they took out 7 Tor missile systems and 5 Tor M2 missile systems. Real quick, so that's 12 Tors, T-O-R. unknown exactly how many of these Russia has, but for a rough estimate, the International Institute for Strategic Studies says that as of 2005, Russia had 120 Tor systems. So 12.
So again, 12, obviously a substantial percentage of those. And if again, those hundreds were supposed to be utilized again in the occupied territories and throughout Russia, I mean, you can see how much fucking heavy lifting that they were doing as far as trying to, cover a substantial portion of the territory. Not sure exactly what their range or capabilities are as far as those are concerned. But if you take out 12 of something that Russia only has 100 of, again, to cover and to defend against all of the occupied territory in Ukraine and all of Russian territory, again, you can see how, it's not that substantial. It's not that much.
Destroyed in April out of an estimated 120 total. 10% reduction in that one system in a month is a problem for Russia. They also talked about 5 Buck systems destroyed, 3 Pantsers. We got, let's see what else here.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Nebo M radar, S-400 complex radar, a lot of air defense destroyed. They said, quote, successive and regular destruction of air defense systems at the operational level opens up corridors for deepening the strike on military and energy facilities in the swamps. So be it. Keep your eyes peeled. And that's exactly what is happening here, right? So every single one of these systems that gets destroyed, or at the very least damaged, opens up another.
Oh, what happened there? Hold on, my apologies. I think I meant to hit stop and I took it off the screen. But anyway, it's probably a good place to leave off. Regardless, I'm probably going to utilize that mistake to get you guys out of here. We'll get into the thank yous and stuff. I've already gone well over time, so I apologize for keeping you guys longer than necessary, keeping you guys longer than I normally do. There was one other one that we didn't get through here. That was I think another Preston Stewart video talking about the Strait of Hormuz, but we can always save that for tomorrow. But who knows? By then, this is probably going to be all needless and useless reporting, and we're going to have to talk about something else. But what do you say we get you guys out of here? We'll start thanking some incredible, unbelievable, beautiful people that have been contributing to the channel, making it possible for this thing to keep going. Let me just see if I can pull it out of my boogie, out of my bank here, and say thank you to everybody. First and foremost, well, first, not so much foremost, but thank you guys so much too. Thank you to Damon for his contribution. Let's see what you guys put in for the switch. As always, thank you so much, Dame Dog. Very much appreciated. Thank you to Yakov, as always, brother, not only for being a fantastic mod, being a great friend, always showing up to the Patreons and everything, but also for your kind contributions. Fine, take my last $2. You better be kidding. You fucking better be kidding, because I tell you, that's exactly what I don't want. That is exactly what I don't want. Again, I only want people that can forget about it, right? If you can forget that you bought a membership, if you can forget that you're a member of the Patreon, it doesn't affect or take away from any other aspect of your life. Like, those are the people that I would, like to see in a perfect world utilize those resources. So hopefully that's a lie. I feel like you're being facetious. I think you're playing with me. So pause, by the way. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria, as well. Very much appreciate that, Victoria, from Tom. What, he lose his phone, Victoria? He's got you sending Venmos for him. Well, I appreciate that. Shout out to you guys both. Thank you so much for your kindness and your contributions as well. Thank you so much to Geneva. Geneva, you've been so fantastic. I really can't thank you enough for everything that you've been doing lately. The Geneva says, thanks, Brian. Keep doing what you do. Thank you so much, Geneva. It's people like you and the rest of these people, that are so fucking unbelievably nice and generous and contributing to the chat that keep me going. So thank you so much to Geneva. Thank you to Cynthia. So much, Cynthia, for sending over that money, and with the little gas symbol, I will put that into good use, I promise. Thank you so much to Jeff D as well. Additional funding for your ballroom, Brian, aka the Nutsack Shack from Rock 79 and me. Oh, you fucking kill me, brother. You fucking crack me up. I appreciate that. Thank you so much to the both of you. Thank you so much to Allison M. Very much appreciated you for your kind contribution. Hearts right back at you, Allison. Much appreciated. Thank you so much to Peter. I see you in there, Peter L. Peter L. sent over a message saying, thanks, Brian, for all that you do to bring us the news. I just realized we haven't had a cameo from RFK Jr. in a while. LOL from Flipper. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. It's always good to put a face and a name behind the screen names. I know a lot of the times I'm probably misgendering you guys down there, but I do my best to try to get like whatever information I can from just the screen name that you guys present to me. It's not always the easiest,
But thank you so much, Peter, for your kindness, for your contribution. Very much appreciated for that. And maybe one of these days we'll see RFK make another appearance. And that's a good pull. That's a good pull. I haven't done that in a while. So shout out to Peter. Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie B. Very much appreciated, Debbie B, for the $5 on Venmo. Take care, Brian. I sure will, Debbie. Thank you so much for your kindness and your contribution. Shout out to you. And then shout out to Moms. Thank you so much. Oh, Moms, thank you. Oh, my goodness. How kind are you? Had a little windfall, wanted to share. Oh, my goodness, Moms. Thank you so much. So kind of you. Congratulations. I don't know if you hit the lotto, if you made a nice trip to the casino and had a run on the tables. I don't know what it was, but congratulations. Very much appreciate it. And it's good to see you, finding some luck. You know what I mean? Very much appreciated. Very valued member of the community there. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Jeff, again, for your kind contributions this time. Again, saying Roxanne and Jin not financially backing you. This is just a tip. Just the tip. No tax on tips. I really do appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. And then everybody else over the last couple days, Geneva again, V. Sawyer, Jenny Faye, and Corey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to MR. Thank you to Geneva again, Roger, Nina, Yakov, Allison, Tempe, Damon again, Tom, Alta Boy, Mark, Roxanne, Claudia, Nina. Really do appreciate you guys, and that's everybody over the last week or so that's been kind enough to contribute to send into Venmo. And again, if you have Venmo, that's not it. That's a PayPal. But if you do have Venmo, I can change it right there, which is the Venmo. So in case you do have it, you can send over again. All we ask for is $1 or $2. Nothing hidden behind a paywall. We try to do this the right way. I am very passionate about this and want to continue doing this, as long as humanly possible. So it's only with your support that we're going to be able to do that. What do you say we get over here thanking some people on the old Chatsky? Appreciate you guys. Let's start. Who started off today? Jordan. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, my friend. I feel like it's been a couple weeks. Hope you're well. Very much appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Yo, right back at you. My man. Appreciate to get you. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Deb, as well. Much love to the mods. That's I'm going to be second in that. I'm going to be right behind you as far as that's concerned, Deb. Much love to the mods. Can't say thank you enough to them. Thank you to Steven for 17 months of loyalty, 17 months as a member here, still hanging in there. We've got a ways to go, and I appreciate you fighting through it, Steven. I really, really do. Thank you for your, your passion, your contribution, you guys, and your aggression, because that's what it takes really to fight through this bullshit, is just staying aggressive, which I appreciate. So, Steven, top of the list, top man. Appreciate you, my brother. Treva, always good to see you. Member for 19 months now. Let's go. Glad your Boston accent didn't come back fully. Didn't? I don't know. That's going to have to be run through some sort of fucking filter. I don't know if that's going to, I think you're just playing with me. I think now I'm going to think about that the entire night now. I'm going to be working on it. But Treva, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a member for 19 months. Always good to see you in the chat. Shout out Sparkle as well. I'm thinking about it as well, too. Thank you, SFD, for your contribution as well. The whole enrichment thing is bullshit. Why should Iran give it up when we are supporting the actual nuclear danger in the region, which is Israel? Very good point. Very good point as well. And again, it's definitely been on the wish list of Benjamin Netanyahu for a long time as far as going into Iran, talking about their nuclear capabilities, how close they are to a weapon. It's 2 days, it's 2 weeks, it's 2 seconds away. They're going to have 5 bombs, they'll have 10 bombs, they'll have 1,000 bombs, and then what? So I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much for chiming in there. And I think you're 100% right as well. Definitely questions that need to be asked. But I appreciate you, SFD. Thank you so much to Jonathan as well for the $5 contribution. Poor man's membership. Appreciate you, Brian. All good, my brother. All goes to the same place. And I thank you very, very much for your contribution. There's no such thing as a small contribution in this space, in this line of work. So I really, really do thank you as much as I possibly can for anybody contributing. That goes for you, Jonathan, as well. Thank you, Jim, for 5 gifted memberships. Always great seeing you, my friend. Very valued member of the community here as well. Great seeing you in the Zooms all the time. Been in the chat for a long, long time, Jim, and I can't thank you enough for your continued loyalty and friendship there. Thank you so much to Allie B. There you are, Allie. There you are. Dre, Dozier, Substack, all T on Ballroom. Is that code words? Is that English? Dre Dozier. Let me write that down in case I got to search that. Like I said, there's always smarter people in the chat, so let me see here. Dre Dozier. Dozier. Is he French? Substack. You see Substack. What's it say? All T. All right, so we'll take a look at that. I appreciate you, Allie. Thank you so much. And again, like I said, thank you so much for your PayPals and the Cash Apps and stuff. I forget which one now, but it's one of those. And I thank you. And I'm so sorry that I've been missing them and I didn't get a chance to thank you for your gifting and contributions as well. So that's very much my apologies, my fault. Thank you so much, and I'll be sure to check out that one on Substack as well. And then Peter, thank you so much, man. Peter 3.14. With the 50 gifted memberships, which is just an incredibly kind and generous donation. Just really, really means a lot. It means that 50 different people in the chat get to have access to the monthly membership now. So that's really, really kind. Hopefully we're reaching out to Peter and other people gifting in the chat as well, like Jim and everybody else. W's in the chat for Peter. Make sure we're saying thank you, even if it's not you that got one of the memberships. These are the people that ultimately keep the show going in a huge way. So let's make sure that we recognize that and appreciate that. So thank you, Peter, as well. Hope you have a great night, my friend. Thank you so much to Jeff as well. Shout out to Jeff. They stole the donations to give Vance lessons that might make him popular. Then he stole the money and what's it say? Or a few new couches and a few new couches. I do get what you're saying. Let me try that one again. They stole the donations to give Vance lessons that might make him popular. Then he stole the money and a few new couches. I'm not sure what the OT means. I don't know if it's overtime or not, but I do get the new couches, and I'm sure he's definitely having some fun with those. Are they dolphin-shaped, Jeff? You got to let me know if they're dolphin-shaped, because he has a lot more fun on dolphin-shaped couches for some reason. But I feel like they're a little bit more expensive than just regular couches. You know what I mean? And, he doesn't like the pull-out couches, if you know what I mean. But shout out to you, Jeff. Thank you so much for the 10. My apologies for stumbling and mumbling. Bought some couches. Okay. If I just look one more chat in, I would have had it the whole time. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the clarification as well. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much to Jen. What's going on, brother? Jesus, my savior. Trump, my president. Grinder, my jam. Right. That should have been on the guy's T-shirt. I'm telling you. And just the way that Marco Rubio came into his press conference the other day, just saying. If you want to go replay that and how he came in and said hello, right? A lot like Lindsey Graham, a lot like Benny Johnson. Just saying. But thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much to Marie, even though you've fucking been rooting for the Sabres and they kicked our ass. I don't know. No, but thank you so much, Marie, for the 5 gifted memberships. And again, the better team won, I can say, have no problem saying so. Again, not that I'm going to be out there overly rooting for the Sabres, but again, it's always good to see the team that kicks your ass go on to win. That way you have some sort of excuse. You can always say that the best team went on to win and at least you lost to the best team. So, Marie, shout out to you. Thank you for the 5 gifted, and you're poking the bear, so to speak, with your "Let's Go Sabres" chant in the chat all the time. But we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great night. Thank you, Midas Cam. What's going on, Cam? How are you? Thank you for 7 months of loyalty. Thanks, Boston Brian, for keeping the truth alive. I sure try to. And again, we're human beings here. I flub words. I fumble sentences. I get things wrong, right? So we're human. But in fact, I do try to correct myself if I feel like I mess something up. If I am told that I was incorrect in some way, shape, or form, I don't have a problem saying that I was wrong, correcting myself, because when inevitably you're streaming for this many hours every single week, you're going to say some dumb stuff. You're going to get something wrong. So you should be able to correct yourself. You should be able to kind of take it on the chin, as it were. So Cam, love you, respect you, very much appreciate you, and thank you so much for the kind words and your loyalty. Hope you're having a great night. Thank you, DPD. Shout out to you. Thank you for the $20 contribution. I believe Trump needs the bunker because he has no plans of going anywhere. Says the tech bros have bought land in Virginia and they are building high-tech underground bunkers. The chandeliers are made of explosives. I kid you not. And I don't know how much tinfoil hat is involved in that, and I wouldn't put any of it past it, but I haven't heard of the explosive chandeliers yet. You'll have to run me by that story so I can get a little bit more acquainted with the explosive chandeliers. I've heard of the drone-proof roof, right? I've heard of the fucking bulletproof windows and whatever, but the explosive chandeliers are definitely a new one. So point me in that direction of where I can get the details. That may be in the Dre Dozier Substack, if I'm not mistaken. But DBD, love you, respect you. Thank you so much for the $20 contribution. Shout out to you. Very much appreciated, as always. And I hope you're having a wonderful night. And I will definitely do a little bit more digging on exactly what is involved in the military aspect of that bunker as well. So I appreciate you pointing me in the right direction. Thank you so much to JD. Stalin levels of paranoia. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? I mean, it's going even
a step beyond anything that we kind of suspected or anything that had been reported up until this point. Like we know the use of doubles and all the bullshit and some of the other, protocol that he makes people go through. But this seems to be kind of ramping up well above and beyond any of those levels. So JD, I think you're absolutely right. And we very much appreciate you for always being here, my friend, always contributing. Big, like I always say, very, very valued member of the community, as you guys all are. I don't want to make sure I don't, single anybody out, but you guys are all very valued in your own ways. So thank you so much, JD, for always being here, for always contributing, for always supporting the show. Goes a long way, my friend. I want to make sure that you guys know it is recognized. So appreciate you. Thank you, Jimmy Two Soups. I have a big hug. Truly, laugh my ass off. More Russian tubs. All right. My apologies. Sometimes I black out a little bit and it just kind of comes out. I apologize. My bad, Jimmy too. But thank you so much for the $2 contributions. I really do appreciate you. Thank you for watching and obviously contributing to the show is really, really appreciated. So thank you. Thank you, Tamara, for the $5 tonight. Very much appreciate seeing you in the chat as always. Hopefully you're having a great night. Jeff Miller's back in action with the $2 contribution. Have to wonder, is the couch, if the couch is flipping fans? Jesus Christ. I don't know. There may be a tape to come out at some point. There might be a release. Instead of a P tape, it might be like a leather tape. I don't know what you'd call it, a couch tape for JD at that. But, who's going to want to see that? Who's going to want to see that? But I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much. And Trucker John rounded it off today. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Good down 13 months. Let's go. Over a year here. Very, very, very much appreciated, my friend. Thanks to whomever gifted me this great membership. Thank you so much, Trucker John, for everything that you do in this community as well. Shout out to Trucker John. W's to everybody in the chat that contributed tonight. We had a great night. That was a great night. Great show. Great chat, as always. You guys are fantastic. I always say you guys are the best chat on the fucking planet, which is not a lie, and it's something that I can defend and back up in case anybody has a problem with me saying that. Right. But again, thank you so much for 2 great shows today. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. That's going to be 2 p.m. Here on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. And then check your time if you're anywhere in between. Please hit that like button on the way out tonight. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching for the first time, if you've joined us, not long ago, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. We're trying to get to 20K. I know it's a long haul. I know it's going to be a slow roll to get there, but again, we're pushing. We're not going to stop. We're not going to keep calling out the bullshit. We are going to keep calling out the bullshit, I should say. See what happens at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night? You start to get delirious. But all right, I love you. I'm out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hit that like button on the way out. I love you guys. To the mods, to the chat, much appreciated. Lots of respect. Big ups. And like I said, see you tomorrow. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel out there. Make sure you stay safe because that's the most important thing. All right. And I will see you tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. Thanks. I think it's one of these buttons now. This one. Thank you, Yakov. Yeah, I told you it wasn't your last $2. I knew it. No, I appreciate you, brother. Have a great night. You and the little one and the missus. Much respect. Sounds like a nickname for my grandmother.
Вітаю, Босton Брайан. Мій позивний консорт. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
God bless the United States. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. About to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. He said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. The revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
A group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know them.
The big, fat, sloppy